has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
How the heck are you on this hump day edition of Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio? This and every show on the station streamed via foxsportsfm.com. And, well, make sure you sign up for the new Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. How are you on this fine morning?
Doing well, thanks. Good night's sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, feel pretty good.
Well, we're glad for that.
Well, I'm glad that you're glad.
Don't want you, getting 4 hours sleep and being tired and grumpy and in need of
Well,
Snickers.
you get to, I mean, I don't know, you don't, because apparently, everything's the same for you, but I have found that sleeping is, I used to be able to sleep hours, hell a day. I don't do that anymore. I wake up. So a good night's sleep feels good. I had a good night's sleep, that's all.
Yeah, it's funny. And as somebody who doesn't take good care of themselves, and I'm talking about myself, yeah, I sleep fine. I do. Whether it be 4 hours or
And you don't wake up either, do you?
No. It does not. No. If it wasn't for this show, no. I can sleep.
But you don't get up in the middle of the night? I mean,
I'm good.
God dang.
No.
I'm jealous.
Got a dang this morning. Get a 6:03 dang. All right. That's good to know. Miller and Moulton on this fine Wednesday. No.
Hey.
I'm good.
Guess what? My team's got a coach.
Of course, they did it at about 2:30 in the morning. They're optimizing, the PR value. Spend all this money to get a football coach. It's Brett Bielema is not going to leave the NFL and go back to the college ranks, at least not at Michigan State.
He was raising his hand saying he wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
They
I
asked
kind of thought it was a done deal after everybody else had said no.
Well, I am curious, and we're talking about Michigan State about 3-4 hours ago.
They hired a coach.
Mel Tucker, who did a good job this past year at Colorado, was a part of Kirby's staffs at Georgia.
Was a part of Nick's staff at
Yeah.
Alabama, LSU, and
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Yep. And so Mel Tucker, head coach of the Michigan State Spartans. Sparty apparently just kept throwing money at him until he said yes. But besides Luke Fickell, who said no?
Narduzzi said no.
Well, Narduzzi took himself out of it, though, before I think they could even call him.
Right, but after Fickell said no, he never jumped back in. The Niners coach,
Some assistant?
yeah, is it Salah?
The defense coordinator,
Yeah,
Saleh?
Saleh. He turned it down. They reached out to Pat Shurmur. He turned it down. Who knows how many other people they reached out to that wouldn't take their phone calls. I mean, I believe a lot of people said no. I bet you they called Matt Campbell. I bet you they called Urban Meyer. I bet you they called a lot of people who were dream shots. Oh, the D coordinator at Penn State said no, too.
Interesting.
And yesterday, I mean, they are a class act, this place. I mean, call me. Send me some letters to give you money. I couldn't do it fast enough. One of their board of trustees members, some jackass, Brian, whatever, went on a morning show, came on our show,
Yeah.
and said we don't want someone who's a waffling flake.
Flake.
A waffling flake, indicating that Fickell had said yes and then said no. All indications are his wife had no desire to go to East Lansing. Did not think they'd fixed anything about the culture that had gone on, and it bothered her immensely by all reports.
Well, there you go. Okay. That's enough.
Right. And so he went on a Detroit radio station and made that comment. And of course the hosts say, well, what are you saying that about Luke Fickell? Well, no, I'm just saying that in general, that we want someone who's not going to use this as a stepping stone. Well, you're talking about Luke Fickell. I mean, don't take the call to do the interview because he wanted to do the interview. You don't say yes unless you've got stuff to get off your chest.
Right.
And if you're a member of the board of trustees of a university, and I don't care what university, Michigan State, I mean, put it this way. This is where Michigan State people have to get a grip. Could you ever imagine a trustee from the University of Michigan doing that interview?
No. Or
mean,
for that matter, a trustee of about 75 other schools.
But
also.
I'll just start and end with the school in Ann Arbor. You know, the one with all the academic accolades and all the wins and all of those things.
Right.
I'll just stop there because
prestige.
they wouldn't do it.
No, they wouldn't.
There's not a member of the board of trustees there that would even contemplate going on the air for something like that.
No. You have to be able to learn how to handle a little bit of disappointment. Yeah, all right. Guy thought about it. You thought he was going to say yes. He ultimately said no.
You know, this is the same board member that couldn't back the president fast enough, and then after he found out all the things that he already knew, he acted like he cried on stage. Then he made this passionate plea. He is a buffoon. I'm surprised anybody said yes. I mean, that's what they had to do. Just keep throwing money.
Yep.
When you put yourself in a corner like that and look as badly as you do to the nation, they'll never realize it in that mitten state surrounded by water how badly the optics look outside of that state. They never did in the last 2 years, and they don't now. Hope Mel Tucker does well. But, boy, oh boy, good luck being 4th, 5th, and maybe 6th in the East for a while, gang.
Wow, take it easy now. Take it easy. I mean, they are, you got Maryland, you got Rutgers. I mean, come on.
And then
now.
you got Michigan State. They're behind Indiana.
Well,
They are.
Maybe they were this past year.
I mean, they
That
beat
is for
them,
sure.
but they were behind them.
249-8167 on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line, 249-8167. You don't get a lot of Power 5 jobs that open up in February, so that in and of itself is awkward. To me, the biggest thing working against them is, and I wouldn't have taken it if I was any of these guys, is you really don't know the power structure there, who's going to be the boss. There's a very good chance that in the next 18 months, the people hiring you are not going to be the power brokers. That's not a good situation. Plus, let's be honest, you're walking into mediocrity at best. You got some work to do. So I think it's a difficult job at a bad time, and I don't blame a whole bunch of people for saying no.
Neither do I.
And Colorado's a tough job, so I get Mel Tucker saying,
And he's a Midwest guy. He went
Right.
to Wisconsin. He's from Cleveland, so it is a little bit closer to what he knows. But, and he's recruited everywhere. He's done a good job. Maybe he'll do well there. It's going to take time. Hope expectations aren't too high for all these people who have
I'm sure they are.
built something up into what it's not anymore.
I'm sure they're very high. Very high. I'm just curious the fallout, the legacy of the guy who just left, because that's sticking around long enough to get that $4.5 million check and then leaving on the eve of signing day. Never mind what he did to all those recruits in the early signing period. So it'll be interesting to see how he is remembered. Plus, I think there'll be more stuff that is going to come out here.
It'll be
in
two
the
different
coming
memories,
months.
David. It'll be the memories you and I have. I think the more logical ones, and I think, based on what I've seen, videos people have done, they've already cemented what his legacy is there, good, bad, or indifferent.
Can I bring up something we have not brought up yet on this show? That's been out there for a couple weeks. But let's face it, it's now going to get talked about because, one Tiger Woods was asked about it yesterday. And it's one thing to ask Phil about it, and it's another thing to ask some of the other big-name players around the world about it. But it's another thing entirely to ask Tiger Woods about it. And there is a group that's thinking of forming the Premier Golf League.
Can I just, before we get into it, because I do want to get into this, there are a couple of high-level PR people who use Southwest Florida occasionally as a home. I just want to let you know, if you can get to the other PR people in the sports world, if there is any league that you're trying to start, in any sport that's a new league, send the PR clippings to David at millerandmoulton.com. He will put it to the front of his email book,
Yes.
and he will book you on the show,
Yes.
regardless of what I or anyone else think. Because
Absolutely.
if there is a new league starting,
I'm in.
David is in.
I'm interested.
And I'm actually interested in this league, but
Well, of course you are.
But after we've done the XFL and we've done so many of these, and we are constantly, you and I have been into the other leagues.
Hey, come on now. I was not looking for, but I was expecting a pat on the back from you for my attitude towards the XFL last week. I was just cautiously optimistic, but basically sitting it out.
I know,
taking a wait-and-see attitude.
After the United League and the World League of American Football and the American Alliance of...
The Alliance of American
Football.
Right,
this is the fourth one, and you have five... Well, actually, it's the fifth one because you were in on XFL Part 1.
Well, listen, I have always contended.
If they would have put the other game on television, who knows what this league would have been?
Yes, they caught a bad break. They had 2 games playing at the same time, and they gave 90% of the country the dud. And Chicago and Orlando played a tremendous game in front of a packed house in Orlando in which the people were so festive they ran out of beer mid-third quarter. And it was like 34-30 or something like that. It was a great game.
But this is actually a league and a sport that I am more interested in because what they are doing is very different than any of these lousy football leagues, any of the other leagues that have started really since either the USFL or maybe the WHA. In regard to right off the get-go, this league is making its intentions known, and they are going after elite players as opposed to just trying to form a league and get us to watch.
Well, I don't see how you can call your league the Premier Golf League and not have the premier players in the sport. I mean, see, to me, this is an all or nothing, Mark. Either this league is going to put tee into the ground and happen, or it's not. Because it's very simple. Either the premier golfers will agree to play in this league, therefore abandoning the European and PGA tours, or they will not. Simple as that. This is going after the top 50 players in the world. They want to play 18 events between January and September. Every single event has a $10 million purse. And then they want to end the season with some sort of team golf championship in which essentially Rory would have a team and Tiger would have a team and Koepka would have a team. You know, the elite of the elite would be the captains of these teams, and then they would pick 3 other guys and what have you. And that's how they would end it. 18 events over 9 months. Call it a day. Thank you very much.
Worldwide,
yes.
Worldwide. I mean, that is probably the only thing David missed there in describing that. Worldwide, and I think there's the most important part of this. Why most of these players were in Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago is that's where all the money for this is. Make no mistake, Phil Mickelson was in Saudi Arabia to meet with the money people behind this tour. Well, yeah, he got paid, but that's why he was there. The money is in Saudi Arabia for this. That's why that's why you have to take this seriously.
Oh, yeah, because
this is oil money. Yeah, this is billions.
Yeah, these people have the money to do this.
This isn't Vince McMahon, I can lose $500 million. They sneeze at $500 million.
And remember, all these players, whatever loyalty they have to the PGA Tour, to the European Tour, etc., they're independent contractors. And they make no bones about that. Ultimately, their loyalty is to themselves. They don't wear a uniform. They are the uniform.
And the PGA has noticed, and the PGA, I believe, is a little nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Because they sent out a letter to their members basically saying us or them. You can't have both.
And you can't, because think about it. This league wants to play 18 events over 9 months. So basically, you're playing every other week. And then what they want to do, obviously, is allow you can also play in the 4 majors.
Which, by the way, none of them have anything to do with the PGA Tour.
Right. And
the British Open
many times
is done by the R&A. The U.S. Open is done by the USGA. The Masters is done by Augusta National. And the PGA is actually done by the PGA of America. And the PGA Tour and the PGA of America split many years ago. So these are 4 completely independent tournaments of the PGA Tour. It is why this thing has legs.
48 player fields also. And there wouldn't be, 120 to 156. There'd be 48 players every week in the Premier Golf League. Now, I don't know if you have to play in all 18 events. I wonder if you have to play in 15 of them or something like that. And as you mentioned, it's worldwide. So I don't know how many of these would even be in the States. It might be a handful.
I have to be honest. I think out of this 18, at least I'd say a third would be in the States.
All right, well, that's 6.
At least 6 to 10, because they're all American golfers. Tiger's now in the course building world. That's why they're going after Tiger.
Now, they're talking about 2022 is when they would start. Tiger would be 46, and that's 2 full years from now. We have no idea what Tiger's going to be like in 2 years. I mean, we don't. Knock on wood, he's been healthy for a while now, so we're just assuming, we're going to have a healthy Tiger Woods. I don't think we can make that assumption.
No, we cannot. But as you mentioned, they want these guys to be captains / owners. Hey, you want your league to work. Wouldn't you want to have Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson as 2 of the owners in your league?
Well, sure. Sure, Phil also be turning 52.
And he's had no interest, but he's just said he has no interest really in the Champions Tour.
Correct. But will he be able to play? Will he be anything more than a name and a figurehead, quite frankly, come 2022?
And for those of you that think, what are these guys doing talking about a golf tour? Yesterday, our poll question was, outside of football, which regular season do you care the most about? For the record, the PGA Tour beat both the NHL and the NBA. Baseball won. David, you can do your happy dance. In fact, you can do a cannonball in the pool during the 6:30 segment if you'd like.
There we go. Now we're talking. And
you ever done a cannonball off of a roof? I mean, have you ever been one of those that have jumped off of a roof into a pool?
I've never jumped off a roof. No. I've worked on roofs, never jumped off a roof.
All right.
I have fallen off a roof, but I've never jumped off a roof. Yeah.
Leaves a mark.
Well, yes, it does. Yep. Of course, when you're working construction, they go, "You okay? You sure? All right, take a minute and get right back up there. Come on now."
It was my favorite one of my favorite Shameless. I know you kind of went on and off, but Lip comes back from college and gets the job doing demolition after being in the dorms for a year, and they're all thinking he makes it the whole day, and he finishes throwing, and they're, "Oh, you made it! Look at that, college boy! Bet you'd be done at noon." And he tries to play tough, and he walks around the corner and falls down and starts throwing up, and it's like, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep. That's why I say I've worked for a living before, and it's overrated. It is overrated. But Tiger basically said, yeah, I've met with him. We've talked. I'm considering it. First off, here's my thing. I don't believe the Americans have a ton of loyalty to the PGA Tour.
And by a ton, you mean zero, right?
Well,
I mean, they have
what I mean.
No, I know.
I think they have some, and there are sponsorship connections. There are certain sponsors of, say, certain individuals that are also really tied in to the PGA Tour. So that could be their level of connection, if you know what I mean.
But it's not with the PGA Tour commissioner and with those folks, if you will, because I don't think that I don't think there's animosity between the two, but I don't think the relationship's great.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as it was certain times when Tim Fincham was commissioner, but you're right. I think it's lukewarm. I think it's lukewarm at best.
But you really I think you basically came to the solution. If I'm the PGA Tour, you solved this. I don't know if you realize that you did. But you are right in that the majority of the big name players have sponsor ties to tournaments.
Yep.
The players are independent contractors, so they're care for about their sponsors, maybe more than anything else. So if I were the PGA Tour, I would be leaning on the big sponsors, the Farmers Insurance that's tied in with Ricky Fowler, or whomever is tied in with the other players. And the pressure needs to come from both. We need you here. And they may not. The sponsor could say, hell, I want them, some of the sponsors may say, I want them worldwide. It's better for my brand.
I think the problem that this league's going to have, though, is getting the Euros. Like, I don't think this league has a chance to get Rory. Not a chance. name the bet, Rory wouldn't do this. That's my feel.
Sergio the same way, or no?
Well-
Because he's here now. He's really full-time here.
Well, but they take more pride in being united. They take pride in being European, even if they're living in the States, and this is their second home. But, they rally the troops, so to speak, a lot better for the Ryder Cup than we do. It's much more genuine for them. And they know that this would be a death knell. Like, they struggle with the having to play the minimum number of PGA Tour events to keep their status on the PGA Tour because they still want to support the European Tour. And they've put tremendous pressure on both tours to basically have certain events count as playing on both so that they can keep their status on both.
To your point, when Mickelson made the comments last week about the Champions Tour, and he at first was very disparaging and caught himself midway and said, well, I will support it. I'll play a couple, 3 events. The Europeans' answer is, well, no, I'm going to keep my European card. And then I'll play over there. I mean, that is for a lot of them, you're
Yes.
right. That is their first priority.
Right. They do not want to abandon the European Tour at all, and they are desperately trying to play the minimum number over here while playing as many of their events as they can to support their tour. And I do not think you are going to get Rory to give up playing the European Tour.
Well, and if it's 48 players in the Premier League, golf is a fickle sport. We just talked about it. Phil Mickelson dropped out of the top 60 in the world here recently. Would they want him on their tour? Sure. But at the time, he wasn't a top 40. I mean, the top 48 is in flux constantly.
There's no doubt.
And
Now,
players,
but
but
top
the top
10
20,
to 20 isn't.
Yeah, no, the top 20 isn't. But I don't know if you're going to get all of those guys. But from 21 to 121, hell, those guys are damn near interchangeable.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Kevin Streelman finished second last week. There's a household name for you.
well, please, the guy who won's not a household.
Well,
name.
I didn't
He's
want to
on
go
a
to the
household.
I didn't want to go to the Canadian guy, for crying out loud. I was just trying to go to someone that our golf fans have heard of. So to me, but it's fascinating because I think you're right. There's a lot in the players that would say I could have ownership of the league. There's more money, and there's not like there's a window. But these guys, they're capitalists.
Now, I'll say this: I think Koepka would play it. I think DJ would play it. I do. Koepka basically does everything for the majors. He could sit down and figure out a schedule in which he could play this and still get himself prepared for the majors. And I could see
DJ's biggest fear would be getting allowed back in the country after too much went on.
Well, he's got to bring Paulina with him, and just got to make
not
sure.
all of these.
Well, that's
I don't
true.
think he brought her to Saudi Arabia.
Well, I don't know if you're a woman if you want to go to Saudi
That's
Arabia.
why
but,
it's kind of why I started there.
So that I think, and also quite frankly, they got to get Tiger. They don't get Tiger, this thing has no shot. Can you start this league without him? Can it
No.
If you don't, if I'm right about the major Euros, if you don't have Rory and you don't have Tiger, can you really, even though they're top 5 players in the world and they've won majors, Brooks Koepka's going to be in the World Golf Hall of Fame if he doesn't hit another golf ball. He's won 4 majors already, for goodness sakes. All right, but can you make Koepka, DJ,
Tony Finau. That's
the
these,
faces
right.
of your
No,
tour?
I'm with you.
Now you'll get a TV
Jordan
deal,
Spieth.
right?
That.
And so I think you gotta get Tiger. If I'm right about Rory, you've got to get Tiger.
Well, and here's the other thing: you're looking for a worldwide audience. You're going all over the world. We're not watching no-name events at 4 a.m. Our golf, believe it or not, is the old NASCAR. When's golf on, David? Times it start?
Well, it starts 3:00
What
on
channel?
Sunday. Usually CBS.
Thank you. Thanks. Because that's what I know. I know at 3:00 at 4:33, golf's on. And that's tough to fight with. Think of the crowd that watches golf. They're at Perkins right now having breakfast.
Miller and Moulton. 26 minutes past the hour. The starting five is next. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
NASCAR kicks off for the 2020 season with the 62nd annual Daytona 500, and you can hear flag-to-flag coverage exclusively on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. 200 times around the 2.5-mile track where the winner becomes a Daytona 500 champion. It's the Great American Race. Get it live this Sunday at 1:30 on Fox Sports Radio and foxsportsfm.com. We are Fox Sports!
For people with heart disease, asthma, and cancer, the flu can hit hard. If you're not feeling well, take your temperature frequently with the Exergen Temporal Scanner.
If you've been denied Social Security benefits, here's something you need to know. The law firm you choose makes a big difference. In fact, Morgan & Morgan wins more than the national average in recovering Social Security for clients that were denied. That means
By the way, did you
when
see
hire
Mahomes'
our
shirt that
lawyers,
apparently
you
he
have a
wore?
better chance of recovering than with the average lawyer.
So
That's
so
a really
great.
big
Beautiful.
deal. If you were
Did you
denied
see the
Social Security
tweet he
benefits,
sent out
call us.
yesterday?
There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Dial pound law
Larry
on your
Davis.
cell. Pound law, that's all. Offices, Myers and
Are you a music
Yep.
and technology lover? Indulge your
50,000
senses with a
people
visit to the best
saw it,
audio,
liked it
video, and
before he,
technology
took it
showroom in
down.
Southwest
Yep.
Florida.
Oh, he took it down
Epic
finally?
Audio Video, located at the southwest corner of Pine Ridge Road and US 41, specializing in home
It's
audio,
a
theater, and
people
automation
repellent.
systems from top manufacturers such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Sonos,
Larry
Hunter
David,
Douglas, Bowers and Wilkins, and others.
Larry
Visit
David
their showroom
did
for a
more
hands-on experience
for the Democrats
and speak to one of
yesterday
the technology specialists today. EpicAudioVideo.com.
Then they've done for
Purchase an
themselves
online
in
item
fucking
and either
6
it doesn't
months.
fit,
love the
has
clip
missing
off
parts,
the
or became
Michael Caine
damaged.
show.
Trying to save a few bucks can end up costing more.
That's
My
where that
Shower
clip
Door
came
is a
from.
locally owned and
At the
operated
very end
family
of it, you know,
business
you-
that
there's
measures,
one scene
manufactures, and
someone starts
installs
to
our
soap,
own
but
brand of frameless shower
okay.
doors right
It's-
here
Oh,
I
in
just
Southwest
saw the-
Florida.
I just saw the
And
clips
we
from
were
Larry
just named
David.
Oh,
Florida
it's-
wearing the
oh, no, at
manufacturer
the
of the
very
year.
end of it,
With
they have a
almost 80,000
33-second
shower
clip
doors installed,
of
we
Larry
have the
David
experience
doing an
and
interview on
expertise.
Michael Caine.
Plus,
He does a
estimates are
30-minute
always
TV
free.
show
Want to see more?
weekly
Go to
I think it's
myshowerdor.com.
MSG.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. This is Miller
You
and
own a home
Moulton.
with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island?
I have
Hello,
to check
I'm
that
Jimmy
there.
Williamson,
Somebody put that
Williamson
drop
Brothers
too
Roofing.
early.
If you answered yes
Huh?
to your question, it's very likely your roof
Okay,
suffered
okay.
damage from
No
Hurricane
problem.
Irma. That's not visible
I don't know
from the
who's been
ground.
messing around
you may
with
very
this
well be
log here,
entitled to
but
a new
every
roof
time
for
I
little
come
or
here,
no
there's
money out of
something
pocket.
wrong.
But you only have a 3-year window
Well,
to make a claim.
welcome to the
Time is
team.
running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof you live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us 239-283-2013. It's a free, no obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier.
All right, we need a
for
poll
you.
question.
Call us at
I think it was supposed to be a different
239-283-2013.
10-second drop, that's all.
Again,
Somebody
time
just
is
probably
running
put a
out.
wrong card
Call
number
us
in.
at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims
I will say the
process.
one thing
we have
Michigan State
experts
did
standing
that I
by.
at least
We get
like
claims approved.
is they upped his
239-283-2013.
money for assistance.
Hey, check this out, Southwest Florida. You know
they've been
that
cheap.
sweet trade-in deal we've
They've
been
been
doing here
traditionally
at
cheap.
Naples Nissan? Well, it just got sweeter. If your
they
trade-in
gotta
is
say
less
yes.
than 8 years old with less than 80,000 miles on it, guess what? Naples Nissan is going to give you the original base MSRP for it. Wait, what? Yeah, so whatever that Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, Nissan, or Honda was worth 5, 6,
Gotcha.
7, 8 years ago is exactly what it'll be
Oh,
worth now, but
God.
only at Naples Nissan. Ford,
3-year
Dodge,
Letterman.
Chrysler,
Track
Chevy.
is exercise,
Yep,
not a
we'll
sport.
Take those
This
too.
coming from a youth
Let's see
football
here.
coaching
A brand
legend,
new
not
Nissan
some random
or
clown.
that old 2012 you're driving now that needs new tires. Bluetooth.
David, he
no
does
Bluetooth.
this to F
backup
with people,
camera.
okay?
No backup camera.
James
Come
Carter,
on. It's a
world
no-brainer, folks.
civil
Visit
silver medalist.
NaplesNissan.com
This
for
guy had
full
the audacity to
details,
call
or
himself a
come
legend
see us
after
on
such a
Pine Ridge
ridiculous
Road
comment.
and drive
Coaches
home
with
in
this
that
mindset are
brand
actually
new
holding kids
Nissan
back.
today.
And of course,
Offers on select
Letterman
models with
retweets
approved
it.
credit and
This
cannot
is
be
all
called.
he is trying to do is get people to think he's serious. I mean, this guy calls Benjamin Franklin the greatest president we've ever
your
had.
reservations early.
Valentine's Day dinner will be
The United
extra
States is
special
the
at
oldest
Shoeless
and greatest
with
country in the
Wagyu
world, and
steak
Ben
with
Franklin
gourmet
is the
sauce,
greatest
or
president
roasted
we've ever
halibut
had.
with carrot
I mean,
puree,
come on.
heirloom carrot
Once you
puree,
read that, and if
Florida
you
citrus
think this guy's
vinaigrette.
serious, then
Shoeless
it's on
regular
you.
menu is always
At that
available,
moment,
so
it
make
becomes
your
on you.
reservations early for dinner with your Valentine. Shoeless in the Naples Hilton, 239-430-4999. That's
Now we're coming back in the air. Still don't have a
430-4999.
Now
Gotta
back
be
to
prepared
Miller
to go.
and Moulton.
Okay. It doesn't have to. I mean, we just
This
talked
is
about
Miller
what
and
the big things
Moulton.
are out there.
Your life.
Little Miller and Moulton chair dancing going on there. A little embarrassing if I
Oh,
say
not
so
at all. It's Rick
myself.
James. I don't care. Watch me.
29 minutes before 7 o'clock.
Put it on a loop.
Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton.
Pick an apple, put it in the basket. Let's rock.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Joey Logano and Sammy Watkins will be on the show tomorrow.
We're very sure of that. And we'll be really sure by 6 a.m. tomorrow.
But tentatively scheduled, Joey Logano and Sammy Watkins
Sliced bread and Sammy?
on the show tomorrow.
So, a little behind the scenes with Joey Logano. I think it was mid last week. David texts me, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, we can get Joey Logano. And we occasionally have to tape an interview. That's when we can get him. And today we have to do that later today with Joey. So, he says, do you want to do it? Because he knows I have another job.
Right.
And it's more on me than it's on David. And I literally got the text. I'm like, yes, all capital letters, sliced bread. What the blank do you mean? Do I want to do it?
And I, of course, I'm like, I don't know if he's being serious or not, but he made the mistake of saying yes, so I'll tell him yes. We're in. We've got a 10-minute
We've
window.
had him on
Here
a
we
few
go.
times. Like the
We
third
have.
time we've had Joey on. He's always
Yes.
been a good interview.
In fact, we're a bit of a good luck charm. First time we had him on, he then went out and won the damn thing, I
Right.
believe. So, Joey Logano has won a cup titles.
We'll
won
have
a
to remind
Daytona
him of that.
500. Okay.
Well, that way, if he wins again, he'll want to come back on. Come on. Drivers aren't superstitious?
Well, I think all athletes are superstitious. I really do. It's just a matter of to what degree.
Quick, because I can't believe I'm doing this. Read this last night. I did not realize, because NASCAR now has their own, it looks like the electric, the e-car circuit as well.
Right.
Jordan's an owner.
He is?
Or I'm sorry, he's going to have a car. There's going to be a Jumpman car, I think, in the E-Series.
Ooh.
Hamlin's an owner of a car, and he's going back, wants to do a Michael car.
Well, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan are very good
Right,
friends.
because Michael came to Homestead to watch the race last year, and then Hamlin owns his car and said, hey, I'm thinking about I want to do a Jumpman car. I've always wanted to do a Jumpman car. I think it would be cool. What do you think? And Jordan was like, I'll have my design team out. I'll have something to you in a couple days. 3 days later, had a design for a car for him.
There you go. That's how you do the deal. Go straight
Well,
to
it's
the
a
source.
lot easier when you can call Mike.
Well, that's what I said. You
Right.
go right to the source. Hey, I want to have a car, with you on it. Okay. Have my people get back to your people. One of these days, that's what we'll have.
I know.
We'll be able to say, well, we'll have our people get a hold of you.
I was going to say, we'll have an e-car. That's the only shot we have. There won't be gasoline by the time that we have been able to sponsor something.
But
because the Charlotte County Raceway, I don't think are they still running there?
Yes, they are.
Well, then maybe we can get one there. That's our best bet.
All right. Time now for
The starting five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton's starting five. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Would this be like when I wanted to put $10,000 on a credit card and put the Miller Moulton on the hood of
there you go.
The meth guy?
Yep.
Whose name I forgot, but I'm like, come on, think of the exposure.
Yep.
So you want to do that for pick a car at the Charlotte County Speedway? I'm in. You know I'm in. Overnight, Mel Tucker left Colorado to become the new head coach of Michigan State football.
Jeremy Mayfield.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
I just know that would bother you. That was really just for you because you'd have been working on that for a while.
I would have. The whole next break, I would have spent looking that up instead of coming up with a poll question. So that's good. Now
that
we
was
get
for
some work
that
done.
really was for helping the show, folks. Sorry about that. Now back to the starting five.
Major League Baseball news: the Red Sox named Ron Renicky their quote interim unquote manager. They're going to make him their full-time manager as soon as Major League Baseball determines what the penalties on the Red Sox are going to be.
And that's not going to be anytime soon.
Why not?
I don't know why not.
Why not?
I just said it will. They wanted it by the time spring training started.
Well, yeah.
Well,
which I don't think is an unreasonable request by the Red Sox. Plus, let's be honest, how long is this investigation going to take? I mean, this the integral figures, you've already done this investigation. You did it on the Astros, but you acquired information about the Red Sox.
I got you, but according to a story from the AP yesterday afternoon, the person spoke on the condition of anonymity because there was no formal announcement, but he said basically the team will open spring training without knowing whether it be punished, and they think it will go into spring. I'm just telling you what I read yesterday afternoon. I don't know why.
I think it's absurd.
I do as well, but
I don't think it's as absurd as the new playoff proposal, which has some merit to it, but some parts of it. I mean, the whole picking your opponent, I mean, that's insulting, I think. I mean, that really is. Picking your opponent. I mean,
who's it insulting to?
Well,
the opponent?
Well, I think it's also insulting to the fans. I think it makes your sport look ridiculous. You're not a game show. That's incredibly minor league. That is something you would expect in, I don't know, pick your sport in your league.
Okay. I think it's silly. I do think it's minor league. I'm not going to dispute those points. But all I am saying is, if there's a television show on at the end of the season, we watch The Bachelor, for crying out loud. You're telling me I can't watch a half-hour show where the Red Sox are going to tell me whether they're going to play the Rays, the Indians, or, I don't know, the Angels?
Better or worse? The Tuesday night shows during college football season in which the committee unveils who the top 4 teams are, or this proposed Major League Baseball end-of-season show in which we're going to pick our playoff opponent.
Wow, I tell you what. Jesse Palmer interrupting Kirk Herbstreit, and Herbstreit getting so mad that he's ready to turn off the camera in Nashville and sit back down and watch The Bachelor or this. And it's close, but I would rather watch the baseball show than those Tuesday night shows.
You know what I'm waiting for?
Because the baseball show's only on once.
I'm waiting for Herbstreit, when he's annoyed with Palmer, to turn to him and say, listen, rooms to go. All right, because he's now the spokesperson for that as well. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Kirk to be so annoyed that he goes, hey, listen here, rooms to go. That's when you know he will have reached. One more word out of you, Palmer.
All I am telling you is for the first 3 weeks of that Tuesday show, it was must-see TV because Palmer interrupted Herbstreit every opportunity he had, and Kirk would get so flipping annoyed that he wanted to come through the television and choke the pretty boy.
Right. He almost wanted to leave his spare room in his Nashville home. He was so upset and so inconvenienced by this. NHL, a frightening situation last night in Anaheim. 36-year-old St. Louis Blues defenseman Jay Bouwmeester suffered what they're describing as, quote, a cardiac episode, unquote, on the bench midway through the first period of the game between the Blues and the Anaheim Ducks. Needless to say, there were medical personnel that were there. They attended to him immediately. He was taken to a nearby hospital where indications are he's being monitored. He's, quote unquote, okay for now. The game was postponed from that moment on. The Blues were basically like, I don't know if we can play.
I'm guessing both teams were. I mean, to be honest.
And so it was mid-first period, and they said, yeah, we got to call this game off. We'll make it up best we can at a later date. Sorry. Hold on to your tickets, and you'll be allowed back when we finally play this game. Busy night in the NHL last night. Lightning in overtime over the Penguins 2-1, although Kucherov got hurt for Tampa Bay. Panthers beat the Devils, much-needed win for Florida, 5-3. Everblades lost a matinee affair in Atlanta yesterday to the Gladiators. It stopped their consecutive games, earning a point streak at 12. They will host Atlanta Friday and Saturday, the beginning of a long homestand at Hertz Arena. NBA news, first off the court, Brandon Goodwin, the former FGCU standout. He's been playing. Last year when he was with the Nuggets organization, he had one of those two-way deals. where for the most part he played in the G League, but when they called him up, it was like, okay.
You make league minimum.
Right. But it's a two-way deal. We can send you right back to the G League. You don't go on waivers or what have you. The reason that he's no longer with the Nuggets is that they had to make a roster move during the offseason, and they said, okay, we'll give up the rights to Brandon Goodwin. And the Hawks signed him. The Atlanta Hawks signed him to a two-way deal. And he played a good chunk of the season in the G League. About the last month, though, he's been up with the big club, had a couple of big games. Well, the Hawks decided...
In fact, they named him their sixth man of the month.
Yes.
For the month of December. I mean, there's a sixth man of the year, Kia Sixth Man of the Year award, and obviously each team does it every month for their own team. But Goodwin was named the sixth man of the month by the Hawks for the month of December.
And so
he
the
was
Hawks,
better rewarded.
after a couple of months, said, you know what? You're not going back to the G League. You're staying with us. And I was worried about Goodwin because they went out and made a deal for Jeff Teague to, in theory, be Trae Young's backup point guard. And I thought, oh, great, they're going to send Goodwin down to the G League. But they've kept him up, and they've played him regularly. And, in fact, he's been out playing Jeff Teague. And so the Hawks signed Brandon Goodwin to a 2-year deal. Yes,
he is well-liked by the Hawks fans because I follow him on Twitter, and he's active on Twitter.
Well, and he's a local guy. I mean, he grew up just outside of Atlanta.
That basically is Atlanta, where he's from Carlton or one of the two C towns about on the west, on the east side rather. But he had a shot to win the game the other night, and he missed it. Whatever. It said to him, and he missed the shot, and he just tweeted out, "Should have had that, or should have made that," and I read all the thread underneath. There was not one that said, yeah, you should have. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like in the world of Twitter, where if a lot of people said that, they'd get crushed by fans. They were all 99% supportive. He's even when the tweet came out about that yesterday, seems that the Hawks fans really like him.
Well, and I could go on about Goodwin, obviously, for days because of his time with FGCU, and he transferred here from UCF, and to watch him and how hard he worked after games the year he wasn't playing. I mean, the game would end and the gym would filter out, and then Goodwin would put in a good 90-minute workout at like 10 o'clock at night on the court by himself. So, self-made player Brandon Goodwin rewarded with a 2-year deal from the Atlanta Hawks yesterday. On the court, Houston beat Boston 116-105. Sixers over the Clippers. Zion with 31 in a Pelicans win over Portland. And New Orleans just 4.5 games out of the final playoff spot in the West. College hoop. Penn State went into Purdue and won by 12.
I said it to you before the show. Someone's going to have to start paying attention to the Nittany Lions basketball team because they might be the best team in the conference. Nobody's winning at Purdue, and they handled that game start to finish last night.
Couple of road wins in the Big Ten last night as Michigan State got a dunk at the buzzer to beat the Illini 70-69. Other ranked teams who won include Kentucky, Dayton, Maryland, and LSU. How about the Aztecs of San Diego State? 25-0. They're the Mountain West regular season champions. They beat a good New Mexico team by 23. The FGCU women move up to 22nd in the coaches poll. They moved up 2 spots. They have the most wins in the country with 24. They've won 13 in a row. And Cam Newton's future in Carolina called even more into question yesterday as the new owner said, talk to me when he's healthy. And then we'll see what we're going to do. Not exactly a ringing endorsement for the franchise quarterback who's entering the final year of his contract. And that is...
The Starting 5. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton's Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
At 15 minutes before 7 o'clock. Brandon Goodwin is in the NBA because of how hard he worked. Period. End of sentence. Discarded by UCF. Bit of a raw deal. He borrowed a bike and returned it. But during the time that he, needed the bike and returned it, people went after him. And so anyway, he got scapegoated, kicked off the team, had to sit out a year, and a self-made player, and Mark, he's 6 feet tall the way Drew Brees is 6 feet tall. I mean, he is not a big guy, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And he had just worked, and he came to FGCU, and his outside shot was a liability. And now he's good enough to play in the NBA because he can shoot it. And the only way that happens is by shooting hundreds and hundreds of jumpers for years.
And coaching, though. And I'm not saying it, but I mean, you got to work. You can go shoot. I can go shoot 1,000 jumpers every day, but if I don't have, it's form and figuring out what and getting the right training and then being able to repeat that motion. And he did, and he's got himself a career. It's pretty impressive,
and for good reason. FGCU is having a disastrous season, and Coach Michael Fly is taking a lot of heat. And that's what happens when you're the head coach. But I will say the reason Brandon Goodwin went to FGCU and a good chunk of his development, that's on Fly. The biggest influence on Goodwin at FGCU is their current head coach.
Well, then Goody, do him a solid and get him a couple of players because goodness gracious, it's getting ugly early at FGCU. Miller and Moulton. Maybe we'll have a poll question on the other side.
We will.
It's highly unlikely, but we'll give it a shot.
We're going to work hard during this break.
That's our tease. Do we have a poll question? We come back. Greeny, eat your heart out. Miller and Moulton. Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com. And you are looking live on our YouTube page, Miller and Moulton.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
You're clear. We're talking to Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer, Turner Sports NBA analyst.
I felt that I really helped raise this young man. I was crying like a baby yesterday because we opened our home to Kobe at such a young age. We saw him grow up in front of us. I cannot believe this.
Dan Patrick.
And here they are.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and foxsportsfm.com.
Dr. Jim DiRespino from C4MH in Frank's Garage today. Talking about New Year's resolutions.
Only thing I got right now.
We want to turn over a new leaf, right? We're going to eat healthier. We're going to get to the gym.
In 2022.
What? Nothing? And most guys say
the Premier League sticks a tee in the ground.
But guys, before you spend a ton of money on a gym membership
or the XFL is still happening.
C4MH.com. We have an express
Premier League, XFL, both neither.
$400 of blood tests, including total and free testosterone, and an in-office doctor consultation for only $45.
I'm a patient at C4MH, and it's safe, convenient, and affordable.
By the way, I know he's not out yet. I know it's
that
just
New Year's resolution.
Exactly. Your workouts become super energized. Your $45 gets you information about the state of your body.
So, guys, give yourself the gift
she
of
finished
fourth
with 8% or whatever. I mean,
the leaders in low
and I mean,
care and
so
make your
I'm watching
resolution this
CNN
year
last
a successful
night.
one.
I've got one game on Kentucky, a pro game and then the Kentucky game before Michigan State. So I throw CNN on before Kentucky and but 25 minutes of solid CNN, and it's our guy breaking down the counties.
That's a ton of lunchtime options for only $5.
Eve's never really watched him.
For $5 mix and match may even be the best deal in the state.
John King.
Someone call the governor and double check that. Offer available
He's going
for
to
limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating
First off,
restaurants.
you got to tell him Sanders is not doing all that well. He didn't. He won by a lot more against Hillary. Yes, there's more candidates, but he keeps pointing that out. It's not a bad.
Beyond Thick
But
Burger
then
and Beyond Sausage Biscuit.
You look back.
Both patties are 100% plant-based.
And he starts
They're
going
just
through all the.
savory as the real deal.
And he goes, and then you have a two-time a vice president for 2 terms. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
The best way to find out is to taste for yourself.
So Eve starts laughing.
The original
They come
Beyond
back
Thick
4
Burger
minutes
and
later.
Beyond Sausage
Three
Biscuit.
embarrassing.
Now at Hardee's.
Hardee's Beyond Meat
And Eve just starts laughing. I don't know who this guy is. I love him. I go, first off, in 2 years, we'll watch him all night because he makes the election. Like, he's my favorite guy to watch. The Fox guy was good last time, too. Oh, I like him too. Yeah.
John was the first one. Fest 11 hits Punta Gorda for 2
but that's for guys like us, that's the Vegas insider. All right, hey, Philadelphia's only got 4%, so let's not get too. Let's get.
Of Here Come the Mummies.
What is more likely?
2 days of incredible talent, including the amazing co-headliner Lettuce. Also featuring Robert Randolph and the Family Band, The Main Squeeze, The Nth Power, Funk U, Voodoo Visionary, Joe Marcinic Band, guest starring Nikki Gillespie, Jamar Woods of The Fritz, and Tony Hall of Dumpsta Funk, Dr. Bacon, The Head Tones, and Jamar Woods. It's Funk Fest's 11th year, and it's a guaranteed good time with a huge food truck and vendor village to keep you party. Get tickets and showtimes at funkfestpuntagorda.com. That's funkfestpuntagorda.com.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7.
It starts next Tuesday.
Inland, the river to Lako, and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all year. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
I got you.
If
But
you
we all
deny
know,
Social Security
I
benefits,
watched it
here's
happen with
something
Trump
you need to know. The law firm you
in
choose
16.
makes a big difference.
I voted
In
for
fact,
Rubio.
Morgan
That was the
&
guy I
Morgan wins
wanted.
more than the national
And I
average
watched
in
Brad
recovering
Beasley,
Social
who,
Security
is the
for
dumbest
clients that were not.
motherfucker on
That
the
means
planet.
that when you hire our
And
lawyers,
Jeff
you have a
Zito.
better chance
Both
of
go, I vote.
recovering than
Dude,
with
I just wanted to vote for the guy that won.
That's
That's not what the point of this
If you
is.
denied
The point
Social
of the
Security
primary is
benefits,
to vote for the guy
call
you
us.
want.
There's only one Morgan.
And they just wanted to vote for a winner.
pound law
Like
on
you
yourself. Pound
uneducated,
law,
dumb.
that's all.
That's part of that. That was the end. Because I looked at Brad, I thought you were smarter than that. Look at me.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right,
Yeah.
now we're getting somewhere.
I wasn't wrong.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Well, if you like sunny and in the 80s, well, I guess we're your place. Miller and Moulton. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com, and we're broadcasting live many a place, including the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Please sign up for both. We'd really appreciate it. If you miss any part of the show, well, that's where Connecticut comes in. They help make our podcast happen. Every hour is its own podcast, and you can go to millerandmoulton.com for that. Thanks to Connecticut, 908-2300, the best damn water that you will ever taste.
In 2022, what is most likely to happen? The Premier Golf League tees it up, or the XFL kicks off year 3? That's our poll question.
You're not giving both or neither?
Both, neither are on there. Premier Golf, XFL, both, neither.
I think XFL kicks off year 3.
I think neither would be my vote.
Well, I definitely think you're going to see 2 years of the XFL.
I agree with that.
And then that's the real decision maker, because then Vince is going to sit down with his broadcast partners, and now he's going to want some money.
And will they pay? And look at the ratings were terrific last week, and everybody is, I laughed. We had Pat on the show. By the way, Pat, at least he gave you credit. A lot of show hosts will not give credit, but I mean, it was 315, 312, and he brought up to Jim Miller, said, I was talking to my guy David Moulton. Of course, doesn't mention me. And he mentioned you, Dave Moulton, which makes me even happier.
He said Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I got to give him
He
grief
calls you
about
Dave
that.
all the time.
I know he does.
And he just said about your XFL comment, he thinks it should start after the draft. And then, that's all. He goes, I thought that was a pretty good idea. And he gave you full credit.
Oh.
Didn't mention me, that son of a bitch. See what happens. Hey, Pat, you know what? That 5-pound bag of stone crabs is about 4.5 next week.
Yes, it is.
All right,
And
I'm charging you the same damn thing.
I was going to say you may actually pay for 6.
But he was giddy and it beat the NBA and it beat this. I don't care about week 1. Let me see what your numbers are next week. Let me see what they are week 3. Because all of these other leagues, the XFL, as you brought up, 1.0, did great. I know they got a bad break. We all know. In fact, we know intimately about that game. But
yes, you do.
The AAF had a better start TV-wise. And obviously it left the networks. We all know what happened. I get it. But part of what you've talked about, college basketball, is going to get momentum. The numbers are never going to be good, but they're going to creep up each week.
Well, the problem, the great thing for the XFL in February is, yeah, you got the Daytona 500, but the Daytona 500 is a polarizing audience. Either you're into it or you're not. If you're not, you're going to look to either golf or the XFL. So you can make the case that in February,
it's a great month to be on because you don't have competition.
But
not big time competition.
But in March and the first half of April, it's an awful time to be on. I mean, March Madness is a monster. It is. And it dominates the whole weekend. And it dominates Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 10 or 11 o'clock. There's no place for you to put your game in which you're not getting swallowed up.
And the weekend before the madness starts, we have all the conference tournaments. And again, it's not madness, but it's as good of ratings as college basketball will do all year outside of March Madness. And then following the madness, we have the Masters.
Yeah, which is also the first full week of the baseball season. And in the middle of March, just for the heck of it, if you want to splinter the audience some more, we've got the Players' Championship. So that's, to me, the problem. Like you said, it'll do fine in February, and people will be excited. How does the XFL do in March? The one thing it really has going for it, though, Mark, is that it was number one in the 18 to 49 demo. They're getting a younger audience than a league like this usually gets. That's a very good sign.
It is. No, you're absolutely right. No arguments from me on that one. We shall see. Will they, they're a fickle group. Will they watch week 2?
Miller and Moulton. Our poll question's up. Premier Golf League, XFL, neither or both. What will be around in 2022?
You're clear.
We're on the phone with our
That's
good
the
friend
latest
Tim
it's been in
Meister,
a long
owner of
time.
the
In
Four
a
Meisters
month.
Naples. TJ,
That was like 50 and a half.
Several new colors of Cortec to your great
Well,
lineup of
hello
products
there.
At the store. Tell us more about that.
Give me some space. Give me some hugs.
Miss Julie, if you're watching, here it is.
Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total
Say hi to Miss
of
Julie.
55 colors of Cortec
There.
in stock.
Highlight of the morning.
That's all you got to do.
Waving
It's
to
not
Miss
just the many
Julie.
colors of Cortec that you have. You also have other Cortec products as well.
We also carry the Cortec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Cortec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation.
part of the
to
day
go
right
with it. We also have Cortec
part of the
wood,
day.
look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core
great day.
for Southwest Florida.
I will see you a little later.
humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floormeisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco.
Up, I went to get Frank this morning. She was out of bed, ready to go. 5:15.
Floormeisters.com.
You don't have to lie to us.
What do I want for Valentine's Day?
We know you haven't done anything for Valentine's Day. You're putting it off to the
Want me to get
very
it?
last second.
Candy, maybe a little lemon.
Being serious.
That's what you do.
I'd fill the cup with ice and
help
put
you
water.
out.
Since Valentine's Day is around the corner.
Listen to the show every morning beginning at 6 a.m. and you could win a $50 gift card to the Pewter Mug in Naples. Just listen to Miller and
Yep,
Milton and
there it is.
From the station that doesn't just procrastinate. We blatantly don't do what we're supposed to. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
When you buy a Wellcraft boat from Boaters Landing, you get an offshore fishing boat designed especially to enjoy a long day on the water with family and friends. And you also get one of the best warranties in the business. Wellcraft's factory warranty is not just any 3-year warranty. It covers material, labor, and most boat components for 3 years. See Boaters Landing for details. Delivering the dream for over 30 years.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 103.3 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports.
What's trending now on Fox Sports Radio is sponsored by Estate Roofing in Naples. Online at estateroofing.com.
Mark Albert. Yep. Cigarette or something. God, that's so good. So good. Who the hell do we have on this show today?
We got the Tampa Bay Bucks guy on.
All right, I've already got it. Good. That's all I want to know is do I have my things done?
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
Things are going smoothly. These guys I already have. I don't have to do any work.
Yep, that's it.
Did today with the den last night.
Shelter from the storm, huh?
And
big day today, David. I need time. Do not cut me off today. Big birthdays. Big quizzes for you.
Okay.
Big ideas.
All right.
You know one of my favorite Dan Patrick games that I could like is the guess the total lifetime salary.
Now,
they did the Linsanity thing. You know, they
this town has ever heard.
65.
Here's Miller and Moulton.
Your life.
Couple minutes past 7 o'clock on this hump day.
Yeah.
Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com. And, well, we're broadcasting live many a place, including the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Please sign up. All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline. And, well, we'll be talking with Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report at the bottom of the hour. Seth Everett to join us coming up in our 8 o'clock hour. Our poll question: don't know if you've heard of the Premier Golf League. This has been something that's been out there for a couple months now. And what they want to do is, well, they want to put a golf tour together. Top 48 players play for $10 million a week. They'll play 18 tournaments a year. That's it. Thank you very much. Call it a day. And they're obviously wooing the top players. And the top players are thinking about it. Phil was really intrigued. Why wouldn't he be? It's the year he turns 52.
Well, and I mean, there's no player on tour that likes money and an opportunity to make a buck quite like Phil Mickelson.
No doubt about it. When you're passing up on Phoenix
to go to Saudi Arabia.
Right. That's selling out.
It really is. And you and I are both.
Love him.
Yep. And I don't love him as much as you do, but I'm a Phil guy. Always have been. Always have liked Phil Mickelson. But when he said, I'm done with Phoenix this year and I'm going to Saudi Arabia, I think even you and I went, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No question about that.
Wow, you must have lost a lot of money on the playoffs, Phil.
Might have been a bad gambling year.
Right. Holy cow. I mean, you must have been really big on, I don't know, the Chargers? What was it?
Had the Ravens against the Titans. Big is what I think happened. But anyway, so you got this league that wants to put a tee in the ground in 2022. That would also be the year of the third year of the XFL. Do you think either league will be around in 2022? Will the Premier Golf League get off the ground? Will the XFL see year 3? Both or neither? I think the XFL will see year 3. The USFL did 3 years. And I think that it ultimately will come down to a TV deal in 2022 that will determine whether or not the XFL survives.
And I don't think their popularity will gain enough, if at all, in the next 2 years to warrant a third year. I think it started out good enough, and because it's a good deal for the television networks, that they will continue it in year 2. But like you, I don't think they'll pay Vince a dime. And then if it does have a year 3, if you're right and it does have a year 3, it's going to the ESPN2, CBS Sports, FS1, Amazon Prime 2, which hasn't even been created yet, networks.
Well, they want programming. They need programming, and they're willing to pay for it.
Well, you know what? Since you're on to programming, and we have talked about this a little bit, you hate it. I don't hate it nearly as much. In fact, I kind of like it. With every minute that goes on, I like it more. We got this text this morning during the baseball hour. You have been anti this baseball playoff idea. I mean, not just anti. You may qualify this as one of the dumbest sports ideas you've ever heard, right?
The only part of it that I like is that I have no problems if baseball expands the teams in the playoffs from 5 to 6. I think 7's too much. I think the way they want to go about this is laughable. But yes,
right.
I'll go from 5 to 6 because then basically you're copying the NFL model, and they're going to add 2 teams by the end of the 2020, so they're going to be a 32-team league. I think 6 teams from each league making the playoffs is fine.
I do too. I still love this whole television show picking the team. The more it goes on, the more I like it.
It's insulting, actually.
I know.
It is.
I know. But, and now, do you contest no one would watch?
I didn't say that. Are you kidding me? Do you know what crap we watch on television?
Yeah, we watched, like this guy says, good Lord, we watched a show to see where LeBron was going to play the next year.
Yes, we did.
We watched the Pro Bowl.
The Decision.
Right.
Yes,
and
we
it still
did.
haunts the guy.
Yes.
Think about how long ago The Decision was.
The Decision was 10 years ago this summer.
Right.
Right? Wasn't it the summer? Yeah, it was the summer of 2010. Because there's 4 years in Miami were 11 through 14. Yeah, it was the summer of 2010. So we're coming up on 10 years.
And it feels like it was yesterday. Because it just never went away.
Taking my talents to South
If
Beach.
baseball could have a moment like that.
Well, if they can get Jim Gray involved, I'm in. Because Jim Gray is some of the best, most awkward television there is. I mean, he gets good material from his guests, but the way he goes about doing it
is borderline creepy.
He's got kind of a Columbo feel, minus the trench coat. I
And
mean,
the cigarette,
really.
but yes.
I mean...
Oh, no, Beretta had the cigarette, sorry.
And Kojak, right? No,
Kojak had the lollipop.
Right.
Beretta had the cigarette that he never smoked, by the way. Just chewed on it. And he had the bird. But I digress. Now, I go back to yesterday's comment, and I just think of the Jim Gray interview. The Yankees have the best record in baseball. Hell, David, let's just go to 6. You know, I'll compromise with you. We're not going to put 7 in. We're going to put 6 in. But we're going to still have the Family Feud on at the end of the season.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine the interview with the opposing team manager when someone picks the 5th place team or the 4th place team instead of the 6th place team?
No, I can't.
It is
It's a
the
joke.
ultimate disrespect.
When did Major League Baseball become The Bachelor? I mean, please. This is a joke. You play the games. They count in the standings. They count for a reason. It determines who you play in the playoffs. I mean, come on. This is laughable. But there was a moment yesterday in which I paused and wondered, well, maybe it's me. Because do you know who's okay with this proposed playoff
Buster
system?
Only.
Oh, no. Gets much worse. Bob Costas is okay.
Mr. Baseball and Mr. Baseball 2.
And Mr. Tradition and, right, the sanctity of the game and all that stuff. I mean, can you think of anyone that you know in the baseball media more righteous than Bob Costas? I can't. Not off the top of my head. And Bob Costas, when asked about this, was like, yeah, I'm okay with it. He goes, you know, there's one thing I might change. He thinks 7's too many also.
I do too. I think 6 is the right number. I mean, they've pointed out it hasn't been a lot, but you can't, in baseball of all sports, we cannot have a 79 and 83 team in the playoffs. We just can't.
Really? It's okay, though, with 7 and 9 teams in it in football. I mean, listen, I think it's insulting. I think it's absurd. I really do. But here's what I'm wondering,
I guess,
though.
put it this way, David. If the 79 and 83 team wins its division, sure.
I mean, baseball's had it where, first off, the last Yankees World Series team, that 2000 team, when I say last one of that dynastic run there when they won 4 out of 5, I mean, that team won 85 games, something like that. I mean, it did not win many games in the regular season. I mean, we've had the Twins team that won it in 87, I think, won 84 games or something like that. So, we've had teams, the 06 Cardinals, I don't believe won 90 games, won 84 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of a wild card team getting in under 500.
Well, I'm with you on that.
I mean, as a division winner, I can't do anything about the division winner.
I agree
and I'm fine with the division winner. You win the division, you get in. What am I supposed to do? But I don't want a team qualifying for the postseason that didn't win more games than it lost as a non-division winner. I don't care what the sport is. I mean, it's happened in basketball. I'm quite certain it's happened in hockey a few times. So it's going to happen. I don't like the idea of it as a wild card. That's all.
If you're Major League Baseball, they're kicking this around in hockey. Most people are not hockey fans. You and I are. In which most people in the sport believe the NHL playoff format right now is a bit absurd.
It's a mess.
And there was a time in the late 70s and early 80s in which they just took the top 16, period. And it didn't matter with your divisions, your conference, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I remember, and the first round playoff series in the late 70s, early 80s was a best of 3. I remember one time the Rangers and the LA Kings in 79 played a first round playoff series. Think of the travel involved in a best of 3.
Well, and by the way, they were flying commercial then. I mean, because today it doesn't. I mean, it is a little insulting to put travel into the equation of the major sports anymore. Because they're all chartering. It's not like they're, when I worked for the Atlanta Knights, we had to get up and go to the airport and suits and ties all hung over at 5 a.m. to jump a flight. And, made for some fun scenes with some fishing line and a dollar bill. I mean, you have no idea how hockey players tormented other airline passengers over the years. But they're all walking on the plane and taking off immediately. This is not you and I going to grab a flight at RSW. But I think it is ignorant in the first round of the playoffs to have East-West matches. I do think you need a little juice in any playoff.
So you wouldn't be in favor if Major League Baseball just went to outside of the however many divisions they have, that you award the division champs get in, but let's just say by the end of the decade, we think they're going to have 8 4-team divisions like the NFL has. So if they go to 12 teams in the playoffs, that you have your 8 division champions, but you wouldn't want Major League Baseball to then just take the 4 teams who have the most wins, doesn't matter what league they're in.
Good catch.
Okay? Doesn't matter what league they're in. But they could all come, in theory, from one league as opposed to the other.
Boy,
because hockey is thinking seriously about going back to just take the top 16 point total.
Yeah, I always like conferences or leagues or whatever. I like the end to be the East versus West. It's not necessarily tradition. I just think it.
Because the NBA is considering it too.
I think the optics are better, personally. Then why even have divisions? Why not just have?
Well, listen, there's talk about, do you even need to have the American and National Leagues anymore? Do you just make it Major League Baseball? And then, therefore, you have your division champs, but the 4 wild cards come from whoever has the most wins, and you just play. If we're going to get rid of pitchers hitting, and we're going to have universal rules, do we need different leagues?
I don't know, David. Maybe this is a horrible way to put it. And I'll let you and the listeners tell me whether I'm right or wrong. But the reason I like Eastern Conference, Western Conference, American League, National League, AFC, NFC, is that, the Lamar Hunt Trophy was a big deal for the Kansas City Chiefs, just winning that game. There's history in that. I do think winning and I know they don't grab the trophies in hockey. That's tradition.
Well, Crosby does, though. That's the funny thing. Sidney Crosby always thought it was absurd and would tell everybody, what do you mean not touching a trophy? Like, that's going to determine who wins the Stanley Cup?
So, but I like that because I do think we have built up fans now. And in college football, this is a problem. That a Big Ten title doesn't mean anything to a lot of people. Going to a Rose Bowl doesn't mean a lot. We have really taken away the glory of winning a conference in college football. I do think from the fan standpoint, I don't think a fan gives a damn about winning a division. I really don't. I do think at the beginning of the next season, if you lost the Super Bowl, if you lost the finals, to put up the Eastern Conference champion banner, that's it. I don't want Division Ones. I hate the Division Ones. But I do think the conference championship, because there is history in hockey, there's history in football, and with the pennant in baseball, there's history there. So I like the conferences. I'm fine with no divisions, by the way. I'd be fine with 2 16-team conferences in basketball and hockey and baseball.
And just taking the top 6 or whatever the case may be. All right.
But we don't have uniformity in scheduling, which also makes it hard. Until we're going to play everybody the same amount of times, I don't think you can pull that off.
Yeah, I don't think that could ever happen, actually. There's too many teams involved in all the leagues. I don't think you could have...
Right.
And the only way to do it is to...
Then you can't... Then if you can't do the one, how can you rank them 1 to 32 if everybody's playing a different schedule? It's impossible to me. That's why you have to have conferences.
Well, Mark, whoever said sports, as in life, has to be fair.
I mean, what's wrong with college basketball right now, David? The fact that in the Big Ten with 64 teams, you have certain teams, like I don't know where Minnesota is record-wise. I know they're one of the first 4 out. But I know that their record's better than Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio State.
Correct. They're ahead of them in the standings.
But they probably played Northwestern twice and Maryland and Nebraska twice, who happen to be the bottom feeders or whatever the case may be. It's ridiculous. I actually enjoy every time I watch a Big 12 game and they run their little ad where it says, everybody plays everybody. We determine conference champions here. Yeah, you do. Your conference I don't think's worth a damn, but you know what? You do it right.
Well, it is in basketball. Maybe not in football, but it is in basketball. But I know what you're saying. I think the listener does as well. Fair enough, but it's some of what's
I know I went around in a lot of circles there, but
it's some of what's being kicked around right now. And, always nice to get a baseball text in the baseball hour, though.
Absolutely.
I do think that some change to the playoffs is going to happen, though. I don't think that this was a complete trial balloon, if you know what I mean. I think this was a partial trial balloon, but partial, hey, this is coming. We're going to make a change of some kind. We just want to get this out there, and we're going to conveniently leak it now so we can get people to maybe stop talking about the Astros cheating scandal on the eve of our season starting. Get us back to talking about baseball.
Good luck with that, because 2 more stories hit the wire yesterday. The Washington Post had one, and The Athletic had the other one, going even further in depth on the cheating of the Houston Astros. That is 4 stories in major papers this week alone on the story that baseball desperately wants to go away. And since they are not ruling on the Boston Red Sox, the story will not go away. I mean, that's the other thing that baseball has in front of it. If you want this to go away, make a ruling on the Boston Red Sox. Because while that's still out there, it gives us the opportunity every day to say, well, they still haven't figured out what they're doing with Boston yet.
Jim Crane is meeting with those pitchers and catchers that are reporting on the east coast of Florida today for the Astros to talk to them. What would you say if you were Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, to the players that are meeting? First off, you've got players that are showing up who are like, I wasn't a part of this. This is my first year here. Or, well, we didn't do this last year when I was here. What are you guys talking about? Why do I have to take the grief for this? But if you're Jim Crane, first off, I'm not holding more than one meeting. I wouldn't be holding a meeting today with the pitchers and catchers. I'd be waiting until everybody gets there. The other thing that I would have done is I would have moved up our report date. I think it's sometime over the weekend. I'd make it Friday.
Ooh, look at you taking out the trash.
Damn right. No, you're damn right. Plus, I got a lot going on this weekend. I got week 2 of the XFL. I got the Daytona 500, college basketball heating up, the whole that.
In Houston, your basketball team's hot too.
It's NBA All-Star weekend. I'm getting this done. Honestly, I'm putting this sucker to bed this weekend. I am burying it in the laundry of what's going on in the sports world. We're doing our meet and greet with the media Friday. And then it is going to be, and by Monday, it is gone.
Because
it is over.
Because Houston right now is a great NBA town and a really good NFL town. So I'm with you. If you do this Friday with all the NBA stuff going on, I mean, they're on a little bit of roll before the All-Star break coming in. The timing of that would be perfect in the Houston market. Not going to go away there.
Well, I'm not thinking with Houston.
And national.
I'm thinking national. I'm getting this out of the way. It's done. It's over with. And then I look at the national media and go, I don't know what to tell you. We told you to be here Friday. We'd answer any and all questions Friday. We were here all day. Gave you plenty of notice. That's a you problem. By the way, if you're in the state of Florida, you could have driven here. I don't want to hear you were on the West Coast. It's 3 hours. Get your you-know-what here. So I'd get this over with, but it sounds to me as if, I don't know, he's going to meet with pitchers and catchers when they report, and then he's going to meet with the rest of the guys when they report. I'd want I'd want it to be one day. Talk to anybody and everybody you want. But, Mark, I do keep going back to, one, if you're Jim Crane, what do you tell the team? And two, if you're the players, what are you going to say? Like, there's finally a current Houston Astro who came out and apologized yesterday. Marwin Gonzalez, who's, not a star by any chance. He's a role guy. But he came out and he apologized for what they did and his role in it. Okay. Which, telling you, Charlie Morton, who pitched for him in 2017 when they won the World Series, he's with the Rays now. He came out at a Rays Fest last week, and he was like, I should have done more. I knew all about it, which doesn't bode well for Verlander. Because Gonzalez is a pitcher.
Gonzalez with the Twins now. He's not with Houston.
He's not with Houston.
No,
anymore?
He's with the Twins. That's
okay.
why. But
I'm
sorry, because I read that this morning. No, and I'm not trying to. But
he was with them in 2017. He was a player with them, and he has now come out and apologized.
Yep. I'm remorseful for everything that happened, everything that we did as a group, and for the players that were affected directly by us doing this. I wish I could take it back and do it a different way, but there's nothing we can do. I just want to move forward and focus on the 2020 team. We have a great team. Unfortunately, this is a trial for this special group of guys, and I don't want it to be that way. By the way, in 2017, he did hit .303 with 23 home runs.
Well, I hope so.
Got $21 million and then went to Minnesota and didn't hit nearly that well.
Well, I hope he did well. He knew what was coming.
If I were Jim Crane, I would hope that what I say to my team doesn't go off the record or doesn't go out of the room. But I would tell them, I might throw $50 million down and say, guys, whatever, there's 23 of you, 24 of you, 25, 40 of you. I might put up $80 million. You win it all this year, it's $2 million extra, guy, of my money. Shut them the blank up. And I'd walk out of the room. I'd write it on a chalkboard. 80 with 6 zeros behind it. Say there's a 40-man roster. I know not all of you, but win it all. $2 million extra each of my money on top of what you get as a bonus to shut them the blank up.
All right,
stays in this room.
I'm going to be and the odds of it staying.
I know, but that's why I said I'm trying to.
Now I would say this: if it leaves the room, the money's off the table.
David, you and I have been talking about damage control for this for a month and a half, and neither of us have had a very good idea.
I don't know that there is one.
I don't either, and that's the conclusion that I've come up with.
So if you're Jim Crane, you're not telling them what to say. You're basically just saying, here's your inspiration for 2020.
You're going to have to deal with a lot of crap.
And
it's all of our faults, but we all profited in it, and we all know the team's worth more, so I'm going to put up $80 million of my own dollars. You speak a word of this, the $80 million walks away. I'll say I never said it.
If you're Major League Baseball and you get wind of it, do you count that money towards the tax? Because I think you have to. See, that used to go on back in the day in the NFL before they put the cap in.
I know.
I mean, it's part of lore with Eddie DeBartolo, was that the Niners just spent a lot more treating the players' families, the whole deal.
It's what Cuban did when he first bought the Mavs, and just dumb things like they didn't have really big towels, and Cuban's like, we don't treat our players well enough, and he started making the locker room better.
But DeBartolo did cash incentives.
Oh yeah, he did everything.
DeBartolo would do this. I mean, it's like bounty in a good way. You guys win this, I'll slide you money. And there were no books, if you know what I mean. And it's why players' word spread, and it's why everybody wanted to go play with the Niners. It's like, oh, you come here, DeBartolo treats us great. So that's it.
It's the best idea. It's the best I can come up with.
I love the idea going forward. What do you do about the present, though? What do you do about the present? Do you try to come up with a company line? Do you try to come up with talking points like political parties do to get through a scandal?
Wouldn't we all read through them?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. We read through it with our politics.
I know, but if they're all saying, yeah, I know, but we know politicians are frauds. We don't want to believe that athletes are frauds. What a terrible state of affairs that we're in right now. Hey, you know what? If that were our poll question.
Well, we're not making that.
I know.
Question.
You know what the answer would be. That's just my point. David, if they all sit there and do company speak, we're going to get so annoyed. I might just tell them, guys, say whatever the hell you want to say. But I'd just as soon you say, I'm not talking about it. But if you want to talk about it, I can't stop you. But here's my incentive to win. We're not going to do this. Anybody does it, you got to come to me. Yes, we all know everybody knew about it. It's got to stop. However, here's my incentive to get you to stop it. That's all I got, David.
Well, I like the incentive. I do. It's trying to put lipstick on a pig, but that's some really nice lipstick. I got to be honest. You know, you're talking.
I might even
40
throw a
and
little
80 million.
I might even throw a little Chanel No. 5 on that pig too, and make it smell just a little better.
Or it's in honor of yesterday's show, Little Brute by Fabergé.
Right.
But sure.
Or
All
Charlie,
right.
since we're going old 70s references.
I do think we've just come up with it, and we got a break. Is if I was Jim Crane, I would get all the guys together, and I would say, okay, say whatever you want to say. And I would look at everybody, and I go, by the way, there are no repercussions. None. So if player A over here lays his heart out on the line and what have you, and player B over here is offended by tough, suck it up, deal with it. All right? This is my team. It's my organization. You all deal with this how you want to deal with it. Say what you want. Don't say what you want. But we're a team, and you support those that lay their heart out, and you also support those who are tight-lipped. And then we move forward as one. And then I like your idea. Do you lay the cash out on the table? You know how some people bring the rings out and they show them, this is what you're playing for, boys? Do you lay the cash out? Do you somehow go to the bank and actually get the cash? Have the armored security guys come in and put the cash out on the table? I think I would do that for full effect. Miller and Moulton. Talk a little football. Scott Reynolds of the Pewter Report when we come back. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This
You're
is
clear.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
Kyle Shanahan is the best young offensive football mind in the National Football League. You know, he watched Patrick Mahomes.
I didn't look into him obviously as much as I should have.
If Kyle Shanahan watched tape of Patrick Mahomes and was like, I could go either way on the guy, then we don't know.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Have you or someone you know been taken advantage of or preyed upon by storm chasers who are out of the area contractors? Well, you're not alone. Hi, this is PJ, owner of Estate Roofing. With over 20 years of experience, I'm committed to quality products with outstanding service. I personally visit all the job sites, making sure every customer gets high-quality work done on time. Shingle, tile, or metal, we do it all. We're an Owens Corning preferred contractor with an impeccable track record. We understand the value of educating customers so you know what you're buying every step of the way. Having issues with getting your insurance claims paid? We'll help you manage your insurance companies to get you paid or help you with financing if needed. Call me today to get a free 20-watt solar attic fan with your new roof. Call me at 692-9732. That's 692-9732. Or visit us online at estateroofing.com. That's ESTATE roofing.com. Estate Roofing. Roofing redefined.
This is Mark Miller for Tim Tracing Motors, and I'm with Wes Dobbins, a very satisfied Tim Tracing Motors customer.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 20 years, my family and I have purchased at least 17 vehicles from Tim Tracing Motors. Everything from Beamers to town cars to Cadillacs to cars for our kids to the Toyota Avalon and Highlander that we currently own. We've always been impressed by the thoughtful, straightforward way that Tim and Matt do business. We especially appreciate that they're so picky about the quality of cars that they bring to the market. They have always stood behind their cars, and that's why we'll continue to be loyal Tim Tracing Motors customers.
Well, there you have it. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900. At Tim Tracing Motors, they are confident when you meet them, you'll agree that you've never been to a dealership like theirs before. Visit online at timmotors.com. That's timmotors.com, or call to set up an appointment at 275-7900. 275-7900.
I'm a busy person.
Catch the show anytime. Check out MillerandMoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcasts.
It's embarrassing.
Live Greyhound Racing is back for the final season of racing at the Naples-Fort Myers Greyhound Track. Doors open daily at 9:45 a.m. with poker action and simulcast wagering until 2 a.m. on weekdays and 3 a.m. on weekends. Enjoy lunch or dinner in their high-stakes restaurant, or check out the daily specials at the Holden Grill by the Poker Room. And don't forget to take advantage of the $1 beer, $1 hot dogs, and $1 sodas on the first and third Friday of every month. If poker's your game, you can win thousands of dollars during their high hand promotion giveaways. Their 34-table poker room also features games like 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, High Card Flush, and poker tournaments. Visit their website at NaplesFortMyersDogs.com for the live racing schedule and poker and simulcast information. The
Our
dogs
Valentine's
are here
Day
for
poll
one
question
more
was
year.
Monday, right?
So come on out and have a beer at the Naples-Fort Myers Greyhound Track in Bonita Springs.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
$7:32, 28 minutes before 8 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We'll have a gift card to the Pewter Mug to give away coming up. Seth Everett in a little less than an hour. Right now joining us on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline, goldberg-law.com, is Scott Reynolds, who covers the Bucks for Pewter Report, pewterreport.com. Follow him on Twitter at Pewter Report. Scott, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we are doing well. Where is the negotiations, if there are any, between the Bucks and Jameis Winston? I mean, we got about a month till free agency starts. There's no reason they couldn't do something now if they wanted to. What is the state of affairs?
Well, I think it goes back to the last question Bruce Arians was asked and answered in his final press conference back on December 30th. That's the last time we've heard from either Bruce or Jason Light, who did not speak at the East-West Shrine practices, nor did he speak up at the Senior Bowl. That question was, do you have to take a look out there and see what's also available at the quarterback position? And he said, yeah, we need to see what's behind door number 2. That means in free agency and also in the draft. And I think that if they wanted Jameis Winston back, and that was their sole intent, then contract negotiations would have already begun. But they are doing their due diligence. This is an odd year, certainly, where there are quite a few big-name quarterbacks out there, potentially, if you include Drew Brees. So I think he's either going to retire or stay with the Saints. But his return to the Saints would certainly mean Teddy Bridgewater is available. And then you've got Tom Brady testing free agency for the first time in his 20-year career. And, of course, Phillip Rivers, who moved to Florida. So I think the Buccaneers want to see if there is any interest from any of those players coming to Tampa and then weighing that and how much those contract demands are with how much they want Jameis back and how much they'd be willing to pay him. And so I think if none of those options are available, then their interest in Jameis is sky high. But if say Phillip Rivers is interested in coming to Tampa, then maybe Jameis is not number 1 on the list. Maybe he's number 2 or 3. So I think a lot of this stuff's going to happen at the Combine in about 2 weeks. That's really where the tampering season starts.
Scott, I know they don't matter, and they don't go either. That's the fans. But we ran a poll when the first thoughts or the first rumors of the Rivers to Tampa thing started, and just said, who do you want? Rivers, Winston, neither. And neither won. I mean, it wasn't close. I mean, the Tampa fan is done with Jameis, and I don't know.
Right.
You know, I waffle more than anybody, and we have a consistent texture that every time Jameis plays 2 games, and we have you on, and we talk about the progress Jameis is making, he's like, guys, you've seen this before. We all know what we're going to get. But up there, I mean, Jameis, Rivers, or anyone else, what's the vibe you're getting, Scott?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. And listen, I'll be the first to admit, right, I don't watch AFC West football. I've got television on the Buccaneers. It's my job. Then my extended periphery goes to the NFC South teams. Then from there, I keep an eye on the NFC. But unless the Buccaneers are playing the AFC West Conference in a particular year, which they will next year, I really don't watch a lot of the Chargers or Philip Rivers or whatnot. I've seen him play. Obviously, he's been playing in the league since 2004. But listen, he's a year removed from a 12-4 record, and for completing 68.3% of his passes and throwing 32 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Yeah, he admittedly he had a bad year last year. They went from 12-4 to 5-11. Rivers dropped from 68% to 66%, which isn't that bad. He threw for 300 more yards, up to 4,600 yards, but it's 23 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. And I think a lot of fans look at Philip Rivers and they see 3 numbers. He's 38 years old. He went 5-11 last year. He threw 20 picks. And honestly, that's their judgment. They just don't know about Philip Rivers. They haven't watched him. They're not as dialed in. And I went back and I watched 6 games in their entirety. His 3 worst games from last year, his 3 best games from last year. And I'll sum it up like this. Yep, he threw some interceptions. He threw half of those interceptions that he threw all of last year, 10 of them, were in those games. But I didn't see the boneheaded decision, right? I didn't see the oh my gosh, what were you thinking throw? That's what I didn't see. But that's what I've seen from Jameis Winston in every year for the past 5 years. And so I think that's the nuts and bolts comparison. Yeah, 20 interceptions, it's a lot. Some of those were got hit from behind, the ball went flying into the arms of a defensive tackle, right? I mean, every quarterback has a couple of fluky picks, right? In those games that I watched, 3 of those interceptions were less than 30 seconds left. You're trailing. It's kind of a Hail Mary attempt, right? So every quarterback has those too. But what I didn't see, and I didn't watch 10 other games, so maybe there were some boneheaded decisions in there, but I didn't see the what were you thinking, Jameis, throw from Philip Rivers. And listen, you can't win with 30 interceptions. You just can't. The Buccaneers didn't. And so I know Jameis has his supporters out there. Oh, we threw for 5,100 yards. Oh, we threw for 33 touchdowns. Okay, great. What did that get you? 7-9. And it got Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in the Pro Bowl. That's it. Last time I checked, that was not at the first team meeting where Bruce Arians addressed the team and said, we're going to the Super Bowl this year, guys. Because, of course, that's what every NFL coach says at their first team meeting in every year. That's the goal, the Super Bowl. Not to get 2 receivers in the Pro Bowl, throw for 5,000 yards, and go 7-9. But that's what happened, and that's what's going to happen with the quarterback that continues to turn the ball over at the rate that Jameis does.
He's Scott Reynolds. He covers the Bucs for Pewter Report, pewterreport.com. Follow him on Twitter at Pewter Report. What's O.J. Howard's future? Why is it that he is only catching 2 balls a game for 3 years? I mean, Scott, I'm not kidding. When they drafted O.J. Howard, he has 94 catches in his career for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns. And I honestly thought by now that those numbers would be a season. I really did. Yeah. I thought O.J. Howard would be a top 5 tight end. I thought we'd be talking about him the way we talk about Kelsey and Kittle. What is going on? Is this on the Bucs? Is this on Jameis? Is this on O.J. Howard? What is going on? Because quite frankly, if you're only going to get this kind of production, you might as well trade him.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do this offseason, to be honest with you. I don't know that they're going to shop him, but if there's interest, I think they will part with him this offseason if they can get a second-round pick. And there'll be a team out there that'll see some of the highlights and see his measurables and the size and the speed. And listen, that's what made him a first-round pick, was the measurables and the size and the speed and the highlights. But he's got some lowlights too. He's not that good of a blocker, and he was the better blocker out of him and Cam Brate, but he's still not that good in terms of being the best blocker on the team. That's Anthony LaPlaire. And I think that he lacks a feel for the passing game, right? I mean, we just saw, Jason Witten still playing, right? I mean, he's as slow as they get. Greg Olsen has that foot injuries. He's slowed down. The Panthers got rid of him. He might sign with Washington and be reunited with Ron Rivera. But why are these guys still in the league? Because they get open. They have a feel for getting open. And OJ has a problem getting open. He doesn't have that feel for recognizing coverage, reading the man coverage, knowing how to slip a guy and create that separation, or finding that soft spot in the zone where he can present himself as a target. And then let's face it, there's been times where, going back to the 49ers game, I think it was Jameis's first interception of the year, bounced off the hands of O.J. Howard. And that happened a couple of times last year. And he's just not reliable. So if I'm Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich and Jameis Winston, and my options are Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, O.J.'s number 3 on that list every single play, as far as I'm concerned. Now, there are some plays designed to get O.J. open and designed to get him the ball, and I get that. But when you've got two guys that will catch the ball, will make plays, will score, and won't drop it, I don't know why you would throw to O.J. Howard if he can't catch the ball and get open. And I think that's what the plan is. This is a 2-wide receiver offense going forward, and I wouldn't be surprised if they unload O.J. this offseason.
And I think, as you said, there will be a lot of takers if that is the case. You look at what Ebron did when he left Detroit, all of a sudden goes to Indianapolis, becomes a really good player. We've watched this happen. A new bit of scenery can help out a player quite a bit. Quarterback obviously is the focus with Rivers and Winston and whatever they're going to do. Scott, beyond that, give me the top 3 things that Tampa's got to figure out between now and free agency.
Well, they got to do 2 things. I think that they really got to bring back this defensive front. I think Ndamukong Suh comes back for one more year at a lower price tag. He really liked playing in Tampa. He liked his teammates. He liked his fit in this defense. He liked Todd Bowles. There's a lot of love from Ndamukong Suh towards this organization, and I think they can get him for around $6.5 or $7 million this year, as opposed to $9.25. But he was a vital cog next to Ndamukong Suh in stopping the run. And then what that does is that sets up 3rd and long, and that's where Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett come in. I think those guys are going to get new deals. So I think if they can go 3 for 3 with those guys and getting that defensive front back, that's going to greatly help out a very young secondary that was really showing some signs of life in the last quarter of the season. The second thing they got to do is that they got to improve their running game. If they bring back Jameis, or even if they get a Phillip Rivers, you got to have another option outside of Ronald Jones. It's not Peyton Barber. I love Peyton as a guy, but he's just that. He's a Jag, just a guy, JAG, and he's not starting caliber. He's probably not even your ideal number 2. He's a number 3 running back in the league. And when you look at Ronald Jones, it took him all of last year until he finally had a 100-yard rushing game. And he finished with over 700 yards. But how close is he to his ceiling? Is he an 800-yard rusher, and that's kind of just who he is? Or is there still room for him to grow? He made a quantum leap last year from what he looked like as a bust as a rookie to a credible NFL running back. But is this guy an 850-yard rusher? Or is he capable of going to like a 1,200-yard season? I don't know, and the Bucs don't know. But they can't anticipate that happening, and they also need to get him some help. So I think they're going to draft a running back in the 2nd round, probably. Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU, Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State. One of those guys is there. You grab them. And they also got to address the offensive line. Alex Kappa made strides. He needs some competition. either to push him towards greatness or push him to the bench and get a better right guard in there. And DeMar Dotson, bring him back for 1 year, draft a right tackle in the first round, give him some competition. I'd love to see DeMar back as a backup, as that swing guy, that veteran guy that this team's had in years past. Lomas Brown during the Super Bowl year is a great example. A guy who can be a mentor. And, you don't want DeMar Dotson playing 16 games at age 34. But, if the rookie struggled or if there's an injury to Donovan Smith on the left side, DeMar's a guy that you can win with for a couple of games, I think, even at age 34. But getting a running game, a legitimate running game to provide more balance and not force the quarterback, whoever it is, to throw for 450 yards in a game. Because every time you drop back, only one good thing happens, and that's a completed pass. Otherwise, you can get sacked, you can have incompletion, you can have an interception, a sack fumble. The passing game has its risks, and the league loves it. It's built around it with the rule changes and everything. But as we've seen in Tampa, it can get you 33 touchdowns. It can get you 30 interceptions, too.
He's Scott Reynolds. He covers the Bucs for PewterReport.com. Follow him on Twitter at PewterReport. Scott, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. All the best.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Scott Reynolds, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton as we rapidly approach 13 minutes before 8 o'clock. A Pewter Mug giveaway next hour. Seth Everett next hour. When we come back, today was the day when. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
NASCAR kicks off for the 2020 season with the 62nd annual Daytona 500. And you can hear flag-to-flag coverage exclusively on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. 200 times around the 2.5-mile track where the winner becomes a Daytona 500 champion. It's the Great American Race. Get it live this Sunday at 1:30 on Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Dial star 2020. Friends, I care.
Had enough of your daily contact lens routine that sometimes leaves your eyes begging for mercy, or maybe you just want to look in the mirror and see your face without glasses for a change. It's time to show some LASIK love to yourself, or maybe give the gift of LASIK to that special someone this Valentine's Day. Dr. Jonathan France and his expert team of surgeons at France Eye Care want you to see your future in 2020. So for a limited time, they're offering a sweet deal of $1,500 off bilateral LASIK. Dr. France, pioneer in LASIK surgery, assisted with the first laser vision correction procedure ever performed in the U.S., over 30 years of experience, and this is expertise that you can trust. Take advantage, $1,500 off LASIK, because this sweet special is only being offered for a limited time, financing available. Trust your eyes to Dr. Jonathan France and the team at France Eye Care and start seeing your future in 2020.
France Eye Care.
This planet is so gorgeous and so incredibly beautiful that I can't get enough of it. I just can't. I did 950 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail and then decided I wanted to go hike in the Himalayas. I was not 20 years old. I was 64 years old. And the Good Feet was with me all the way.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Dale actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
Your passion's important, but if your body aches and if your heel feels like you've got a nail stuck in it and won't come out, trust me, it's going to wear you down. The Good Feet store knew what they were talking about and took the time to really dial in what I needed. At 64 years of age, I hiked 84 miles in the Himalaya, and to do it pain-free. You think I'm not grateful for arch supports from Good Feet? I mean, come on. I'm Dale, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized
This is supposedly a
support
really
fitting
good show.
at the Good Feet store.
Call 552
Jack
feet
Ryan,
or visit us
based
in
off
Naples
of
or
all
our
those
newest
movies
store in
and
Fort
stuff that
Myers.
Amazon Prime
Contact Miller and Moulton anytime.
Call me Daddy. Save the Williamson Brothers Marine Text and Talk line to your contacts.
Who's got it better than us?
239-249-8167.
We are Buckforce.
If a car dealer asks you for your tax refund, don't do it. If you've made a deposit, get it back. Other dealers want your tax refund. At Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers, we don't need it. Right now, during the President's Day event, new Ram Quad Cab lease, just $299 per month. That's right. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. Ram Quad Cab, $299 per month. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams.
You would hear, I know, but you would hear it. I'm like,
Southwest Florida. Qualifying purchases with 0 down and no monthly payments till August.
That's all.
That's right. 0 down and no monthly payments till August. And exclusive of that offer, Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers will give you $6,000 minimum for any trade, in any condition, running or not, at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 36-month lease, 10,000 miles per year, $29.99 to signing plus tax, dock, and dealer fee, no security deposit, minimum trade toward the purchase of select new vehicles, in-stock units only. Offers don't combine.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new member specials are running all year. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
Here we go! Now back to Miller and Moulton. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
That was a top-level break right there. Some angst out of one David Moulton.
8 minutes before 8 o'clock. Don't get me wrong.
Told me I was wrong about something that was just between he and I. That was fine. That got it started. He didn't even like where I went with that.
I just didn't have any idea what you were talking about.
And then when I told him, I was told how wrong I was, which that's fine. And then all of a sudden, David saw something on the television that sparked, well, some angst.
Well, I do think that the Yankees' righteousness about the Astros cheating, I mean, they're like, well, the Astros stole the World Series from us. Well, you still would have had to have beaten the Dodgers. You know, I can understand you being angry with the Astros, but you really think that you're just walking through that 2017 Dodgers team? It's as if that team didn't exist. Never mind the fact the Yankees have their own cheating history here in the 21st century that seemingly the organization is forgetting about.
Well, you know, the one good thing about the sign stealing episode is that it has allowed all PED users to run for cover because there is something bigger and a bigger problem. And most everybody thinks the sign stealing is a far greater crime than the PEDs.
Well, and certainly the Yankees do.
But I think the general public does.
I agree with that.
That's all. So that's part of the cover, is that the sign stealing is technology and apparently a needle in your hind end isn't. I don't know how you can differentiate the technology part of it, but regardless, it is how and why, to me, this has happened. But neither here nor there. It is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Today in 1855, Michigan State University was established and 4 football coaches told them no the day later.
They wanted more money for their assistants.
Found this interesting of all places. In 1870, Utah becomes the second territory in the United States to pass a law allowing women to vote. Of all states, I didn't think Utah would be too. You can have 47 wives and all of them can vote. Seems like it could lead to problems. I don't know.
Wow, it's Chicago West.
Al Spalding in 1876 opens up his sporting goods shop.
Thanks, Al.
Hey, come on. You had to have a Spalding basketball.
Are you kidding? I had Spalding golf balls at one point in time. They didn't go very far.
In 1878, we have to thank Frederick Thayer because he patented the catcher's mask today in 1878.
Well done.
Told you I needed time today. Then I don't get any. 1870. I might just do this at 8 o'clock. I might just keep going. I told you. 5:45 I needed time. I don't get any. First artificial ice rink in North America, 1879, Madison Square Garden. 1909, James Clark runs the world record marathon, 2:46:52. And in 1914, The Squaw Man, the first feature-length film shot in Hollywood, directed by Cecil B. DeMille and Oscar Apfel. Kind of why we have those awards, in case you didn't know. Sonia Henning wins her second of 3 consecutive gold medals in women's figure skating in 32. The Cleveland Rams were granted an NFL franchise today in 1937. Team Canada had a rough outing against Denmark in 1949 in hockey. Your final score, 47-0.
Damn.
We're listening to the Stones because in 67, police raided Keith Richards' estate when they discovered various substances of a suspicious nature. They arrest him, Mick Jagger, and Marianne Faithfull. The whole thing was a setup. They tried to sentence Richards to a year and Jagger to 6 months. It lasted about 2 days before all charges were dropped. Gretzky records his 153rd third point of the season, breaking the NHL record in 82. Cale Yarborough in 84, first Daytona qualifier above 200 miles per hour. 1989, Chan Gailey becomes the 4th head coach of the Cowboys. In 07, the San Diego Chargers fire Marty Schottenheimer due to his lack of success in the postseason.
Coming off a 14-2 season.
If you were born today, you share your birthday with Abe Lincoln, born in 1809. Charles Darwin has the same exact birthday. Who knew? General Omar Bradley, born in 1893 today. Lauren Green, the starter of Dead or Canadian, both born today in 1915. Joe Garagiola, born in 1926. Bill Russell, 1934. Ray Manzarek of The Doors, 1939. Best backup singer in the world. Michael McDonald, born in 1952. Arsenio Hall and Chet Lemon, both celebrating their birthday today. And RG3, born today in 1990. And that is, today was the day when, on this February 12th of 2020.
Man, a lot going on.
I had to skip over a lot of it. A lot of big names.
Well, we came out plenty of time, but then you started talking. It's really on you.
You're clear.
Hey, check this out,
We
Southwest
came out
Florida.
at 8 minutes
you know
to
that
8.
sweet trade-in deal we've been
And
doing
you went
here
on
at
a
Naples
thing
Nissan?
about it.
Well,
What have you?
it
You
just
cut
got
into
sweeter.
your own.
If your
I
trade
went on a
is less
thing.
than
You
8
went on
years
the
old,
thing.
less than
You went on the
80,000
thing.
miles
I get
on it,
30
guess
seconds, and then
what?
I get
Naples
I don't
Nissan
care.
is going to give
You went on the thing.
original base MSRP.
I was
I'll
trying
play
to
that
be done.
Wait,
I
what?
was trying to
Yeah.
be done.
So whatever that Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, Nissan, or Honda was worth 5, 6,
You
7,
said you
8
needed
years
time.
ago is exactly what it'll be worth now, but only at Naples Nissan. Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, Chevy, yep, we'll take those too. Let's see here, a brand new Nissan or that old 2012 you're driving now that needs new tires. Bluetooth, no Bluetooth. Backup camera, no backup camera. Come on, it's a no-brainer, folks. Visit NaplesNissan.com for full details or come see us on Pine Ridge Road and drive home in that brand new Nissan today. Offers on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
Clark Hunt, who's of course the
Oh, it
chairman of
definitely
the
says
Chiefs,
more about
he
me.
said,
Didn't have
sometime
any
in the next
money.
12 to 15
I got my
months to
hands on the
extend. Patrick,
cheapest stuff.
When I say right time, I mean
Yeah.
right time both player and club.
I was like
we do this
junior
thing
year
where
of
you
high
gotta
school.
tear
I
up that
could
deal.
start
No, you don't.
affording to buy
You're
like
under contract.
Titleist.
There's the
and
fifth year option.
I was a big
and
Pinnacle
there's the
guy.
franchise tag. It's because everybody's like, well, you got to pay him more than everybody else. Okay, how much more?
Played Wilson Staff Irons and hit a Pinnacle. Everything was rock hard.
Fox Sports Radio.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 94.1
I think what I
Sports
found.
Radio.
I mean, to be honest, we lived on a golf course.
What's trending now on Fox Sports Radio is sponsored by
Muni
Stevie Tomato Sports Page
No, I
in
mean, I
Naples,
used to
Fort
sneak
Myers,
on
and
it.
Cape
Go through our
Coral.
neighborhood, cut through some woods, and you were on the 6 tee. And we'd play 6, 7, run over to 3, then play 11, 12, 13, 3, 4, 5, and come home. That was our little, we could sneak on. Sometimes you'd play 8 and 2, but you could 2, they could see you, and then you could get caught if you played 8. Because 8 was a great high elevated tee. It's a shitty course, but it was right on a river. So you had this elevated tee shot. It was a cool, just for a kid, it was a really cool looking hole. But that water that you'd hit it into was right there. So I'd go shag balls. I'd shag them and sell them. I'd go out of the 6th tee and I'd sell golf balls on that course all the time as a kid.
Well, I'm the same way. I played what I could get my hands on.
What I liked to buy was Pro Staff. If I could buy a ball, I bought a Pro Staff.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning. Yep, that's it. Miller,
Shelter from the storm, huh?
and Moulton.
Yeah, sounds like a song.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it. It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live. Third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Seth Everett to join us coming up near the bottom of the hour. A couple reminders. Daytona 500 airs exclusively here Sunday. Our coverage begins at 1:30. You can also take the race with you at foxsportsfm.com. We've got college hoops tonight, a Big East double dip. Xavier and Butler, Nova and Marquette. Our coverage tips off a little after the Doug Gottlieb show ends.
We got the FS1 double dip?
We do.
Oh, Big East basketball. Now what do I do? Do I listen online, sync it up with the television? This is going to be a rough one for me tonight at 6:30.
And we've got 4 FGCU games in a span of 48 hours. The FGCU men against Kennesaw on Thursday night. FGCU baseball against Tulane on Friday night. And Saturday, double dip in Nashville. Women, little after 2, and then the men at 4 right here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
People, my friends in Michigan are now up, showered, and have had their coffee. You know, I know? Getting a lot of text.
About?
Last 15 minutes. The last one just read, Mel Tucker, LOL, dumpster fire.
He did a decent job at Colorado, and he can recruit.
I think it's as good as they could have done given the circumstances. Because I'm talking about Michigan State, no one wanted the job. I just said to him, I said, I hate to tell you this, you and I will never see that team win a Big Ten title again. It's over.
Yeah, 2010 through 2015
so
is
it's
never
the glory years
again. Never going to happen again for a variety of reasons. I do want to go back to a guest we had last hour. We had Scott Reynolds of the Pewter Report on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline. Smooth plug right there. That's a pro.
Right.
But what would you do if you're Tampa at quarterback? We all know, everyone listening knows the situation. Jameis been there 5 years. They know it's now Bruce Arians' offense. You got to throw the ball downfield. All right. What would you do? Just point blank. Because I know what I would do if I were the Bucs. I really do.
Well, you know, your choices are, do you have him Winston under contract for next year? Okay, so he's a free agent. Okay, so your choices are to franchise, short term. Do you want to franchise Winston for 1 year and draft a guy? No, I don't. I actually, if the price was right for Rivers, I wouldn't think it's the worst idea to try to put Rivers under a 2-year deal and draft somebody as your quarterback of the future.
So that's what you would do. Well, I'm not asking you. I mean, we all know there are multiple choices, but ultimately, if you're the Bucs, and I ask this not just of you, but of everyone listening, we all know the situation by now. We do. We've gone over this now for 2 years. They're now at the point of no return. They got to or get off the pot. What do you do?
Well, I don't know what all the options are, first off, but I'll throw. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but he does throw the deep ball pretty well. What's Tennessee going to do with Tannehill? I can get him cheaper than Rivers or Winston, and I don't think he's any worse. I think he might be better than Jameis. I could go after Teddy Bridgewater, which might be a viable choice because I don't have to pay him what Winston's going to want.
Okay, and I'm not being a jerk. Once again, there are 18 possibilities. Well, what would you do?
I don't know what we don't know if Tannehill's going to be a free agent. We don't know if Tennessee's going to wrap him up. But I would take Tannehill before I take Jameis Winston.
So your number one option right now would be?
My number one option would be drafting a quarterback. I would want somebody down the road. So I'd want someone to fill in for 2 years, and I would want to find Bridgewater, Tannehill, Rivers, whichever one I can agree upon with the right price to get in.
Okay, so you want to spend your number one course of action is I'm going to spend my first-round pick, whether I have to trade up, whatever I got to do, but I am drafting the quarterback of the future in the first round of this year's draft.
Yes.
And then I'm going to do the best I can with whoever I can get for 2020 and maybe 2021.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, I can support that course of action if you know what I mean. Like if I'm the owner and I come to you, Jason Light, and I go, hey, what's the plan?
I want, Herbert, or I want
Herbert or Love or
whoever it is that our staff has determined. I'm going to put a card. Gettleman sat there and went, I'm taking
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. That's my guy. And here's why: A, B, and C. I think it's the next.
So
whoever it is,
me, whatever it takes, we're getting our quarterback of the future in this draft. All right, and then I'll do the best I can for us at quarterback. In an ideal world, it's a year. And our guy's playing in 2021. So, okay, I can live with that plan. I don't know if Bruce Arians can, though.
Well, I know that. But you're asking a GM what my plan is, and that's not a head coach.
You as Jason Light as to what you would do. Fair enough. I think I'd go get Andy Dalton if I were the Bucs, to be brutally honest. Because, one, he throws a pretty good deep ball. 2, he's going to be available because they're taking Joe Burrow. And 3, he's only got 1 year left on a contract. Because I don't think I can get a quarterback where I'm drafting in the middle of the first round. I think there's going to be an early, hard run on quarterbacks. And I don't even know if I can get my hands on Jacob Eason. That's how hard I think the run's going to be on quarterbacks. And if I do, you know what? I'd probably want Dalton for at least a year anyway. So I would try to orchestrate a trade because he's still under contract with the Bengals and bring in Andy Dalton, to be honest, for 2020. Because I'm trying to win now as it is. And then if Eason falls to me in the middle of the first round, I'll take him. If not, I'm taking the best offensive lineman on the board.
What do you think it's going to take to sign Ryan Tannehill? Do you think he's going to get more than 2 years from somebody? He's going to get a 3-year deal? I mean, he's not going to get a Kirk Cousins deal.
Well, Cousins got 3 for $84.
All guaranteed.
Right.
That's the biggest part of that.
28 a year.
So he could get a 3-year deal, but the third year is not going to be guaranteed. It's not.
No, and I think he might even get a 4-year deal, but it's really going to be a 2-year deal.
Correct. So I'm just going to come back to you with this. I got to do a deal for Andy Dalton. And I'm not opposed to that because I think these, we've had the Andy Dalton, Ryan Tannehill comparisons on our show since the first act. So Dalton, I got to trade something for. And I don't think it's a lot.
I don't either.
Or I go sign Tannehill to a 3-year and I'm keeping him for 2 deal. And with what you're saying, you might not be able to get that quarterback in the spot. Which one of those would you do? I'm just curious.
And the reason is I think I can get my hands on Dalton. I don't think I can get my hands on Tannehill. Like, I don't believe Brady's going to Nashville. I think they're sticking with Tannehill. I think by the time mid-March rolls around that Tannehill's off the board. So I can trade for Dalton, I think, up until the draft. because I think Cincinnati's going to hold on to what they're doing and they're going to keep it tight. And so you're going to be able to get Andy Dalton right around the draft, if not the day of the draft. So,
hell, day 2 of the draft.
Well, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. So,
because he's not a day, he's a late day 2 pick at best, and I think he's more like a 4th or 5th rounder at this point.
Who?
Dalton.
Yeah, and that's what you probably have to give up.
Right.
Probably, I would try to give up just a 4th rounder for him. For a guy, unload his salary, the whole deal. They'd probably want more. I'd see if
they might want a 4th and a 6th, something like that.
But by then, most teams have probably addressed their quarterback situation. That's another reason. The Bengals holding on that long actually hurts his value. I think they could get more for him if they were to deal him sooner. But that's actually the route that I would go. I'd be done with Jameis. I'd bring in Dalton. I would draft Jacob Eason if I could get my hands on him. And that'd be the direction I'd go. And then I'd work on the running game, offensive line and the running game, and I'd try to financially be able to bring everybody back on defense. I mean, if I got a franchise transition, whatever I got to do, Shaq Barrett can't go anywhere. I mean, please, you can't lose him. I even want to keep Jason Pierre-Paul. So I keep everybody on defense. I address the quarterback situation the way I do, and then I spend my 2nd and 3rd round picks addressing the running game with an offensive lineman and a running back.
I'm going to talk about another quarterback here. You might hate the subject line that I'm going to, but if we were doing a morning show in an NFL market,
right,
and a young lady called up and basically said she had fooled around with the married starting quarterback of the team in that town, would you put her on the air?
Never.
Because that's what morning radio in Cleveland did yesterday. Rover Radio, whatever that is, had an interview with this Casey Dingus in Cleveland, who, claims she had spent a little extra time in the Mayfield SUV.
Okay.
And in the midst of the interview, another young lady called and said, "That sounds exactly like the story that I have."
Okay.
And so I will tell you by the end of the day, the little interview that Then Busted Coverage has put up, I think will make the rounds. And Baker got some explaining to do to his wife. This social media thing can get you in trouble. And after you meet a woman on social media because she slides into your DMs and then you block said person from your Twitter account who has screenshots of your conversations, it's a bad look. It is a bad look, Baker. Just letting everybody in Cleveland know, hey, they're athletes. We all know they can do what they do. But Baker cannot avoid controversy. Can't. And I love me some Baker Mayfield. I root for the guy. He's fun. But he right now can't get out of his own way.
Well, we have said many a time, for the athlete from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and what have you, that if they had to, exist in the 21st century with all of the technology and social media that there is, would they be held in the regard that they are held in today? Because they likely would have faced embarrassing situations like this. Different day and age. It's why character plays a role with some organizations into who it is they draft and what it is that they do. Listen, bigger picture, Mark, I think it encapsulates the 2019 Browns. They're young and immature, on and off the field. And they need adults. And if I'm the front office, you take your analytics, I hope there's a part of their analytics that says we need to bring grown-ups and make them part of the organization. I mean, there are certain players out there. Like, there's a couple of Cowboys who are likely done playing for the Dallas Cowboys. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, and I don't think that either one of these guys has much left in the tank, but I think you need guys like this in your locker room. I think they need the Sean Lees and the Jason Wittens of the world. If I could bring in Greg Olsen, I'd bring in Greg Olsen. You need adults. You need men. You need men who are just about done, and they could maybe on some of your young superstars go, you're going to be where I am in 5 years. I mean, you really are. Maybe a little bit longer, but you're going to be where I am in 5 years. All right? And I've been where you are. By the way, I was actually better than you when I was your age. All right? And see if they listen. But they got to start bringing in some adults.
No, because, Myles Garrett's a terrific player. He's going to be back next year. We all know he needs to grow up. No matter how you view of what the Steelers quarterback did to start that.
Mason Rudolph.
Thank you. Who won't be in the league next year.
No, it could be in the XFL, though. He's going to be a starting quarterback, I think, in the 2021 XFL.
So, immaturity reigns supreme on that team. Speaking of the XFL, it is our poll question today, because the Premier Golf League is something you will start hearing about, because they have approached a lot of people, but they approached Tiger Woods, and he admitted it in a presser yesterday. And the Premier Golf League is trying to take on the PGA Tour. They're trying to have an 18 event where it is kind of team, kind of player-owned, but it is in complete competition with the PGA. They will squeeze out they'll sneak around or work around the majors with their tour. And the majors have nothing to do with the PGA Tour, not one of them. And they will compete with the tour. Both the European Tour and the PGA Tour have sent letters to their members, essentially telling them us or them. But our question is quite simply, who are you? Who's going to be around in 2022? Is the Golf League going to tee it up? Is the XFL going to kick it off? Both or neither?
And I don't think the Premier Golf League gets off the ground.
And I don't think the XFL is around for Season 3. I went neither.
And I went XFL. I don't know that it makes Season 4, but I think it's going to make Season 3.
XFL getting 53% of the vote, neither getting around 21% of the vote. Both is next, and Premier Golf is last.
Got to be encouraged that there's that many people that optimistic about the XFL. I do think there are tweaks that they can still make and that they can make it better. The one good thing is, Mark, have you heard anybody complain about the football?
No.
Of all the issues that people have with the XFL, even if they're not that interested.
No,
have you heard anybody knock the quality of the game week 1?
No, I haven't. I didn't hear anybody knock the AAF football quality. I really didn't. And most people that I'm listening to go, yep, reminds me a lot of the AAF. Football is what it is. Not bad.
All right. They've got some good creative ideas with the kickoff. They did the transparency thing with the replay official.
They fired a coach after one game. This league, the only legitimacy this league has in my eyes is that Julius Peppers, the D coordinator of
Pepper Johnson.
Pepper Johnson. Why did I?
You got Pepper in there.
I just a little oral dyslexia this morning. Pepper Johnson fired after one game.
D coordinator of the LA franchise. Please.
By the way, LA had to play their second and third string quarterbacks in the game, and they gave up 30, and they fired the D coordinator. I don't think it lasts, but I love me some. Who are they? Is that the LA Defenders?
You're asking me the name?
No, it's the DC Defenders.
The DC Defenders.
That's the soccer team. I like their uniforms.
I've got the team's names written down here somewhere.
Tampa Vipers.
Hold on, Tampa Bay Vipers.
The Battlehawks, isn't that St. Louis?
I say, yeah, look at you.
St. Louis Battlehawks.
Look at you.
The Renegades are in Texas.
What is going on with you?
Well, I didn't drink yet this week, so my memory's still pretty good. Seattle. What are they?
Man.
Son of a gun.
Man, you are doing a pretty good job here with XFL names. I'm impressed.
Big fan of the DC Defenders. That's my team.
I like the Battlehawks.
I like the DC Defenders. That's they look like a good Premier League team.
Listen, I don't know if this is a good sign. I think it is. My mother commented to me about the XFL yesterday, and then she said, and by the way, I like their uniforms. I go, what? She goes, yeah, I think they look sharp. I'm like, look at you. Now, she's not going online and buying anything.
Thank you to Miller and Moulton fan on Twitch. It's the LA Express.
Isn't that the copy in the USFL? Weren't they the Express in the USFL back in the day? Wasn't that Steve Young's team? Weren't they the Express in the mid-'80s there? When he took that big money deal? Thought they were. But 249-8167. 249-8167. You know what time it is, Mark? Since we already found out in our Monday poll question that most of our audience has made no plans.
They're the
for
Wildcats,
Valentine's Day.
not the Express.
Okay, see?
That was the XFL.
Now,
or the USFL.
Now
you got me confused. Now you threw me.
Miller and Moulton fans apologizing on Twitch. But we're not apologizing. First off, you're the ones that said you haven't made any plans for Valentine's Day. So we're just trying to help you out. Right now, caller 4 wins $50 to the Pewter Mug in Naples. And at the very least, we help you prevent you from being a huge failure this Valentine's Day. Caller 4 at 249-8167, 249-8167. You win $50 to the Pewter Mug. We'd like to thank the Pewter Mug in Naples for supporting Miller and Moulton here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
You don't have
You're
to
clear.
lie to us.
What do I want for Valentine's Day?
We know you haven't done anything for Valentine's Day. You're putting it off to the very last second.
Candy? Maybe a little loving?
You're a guy. That's what you do. Well, let Miller and Moulton help you out.
Since Valentine's Day is around
It's a great point. I do listen once in a while.
6 a.m. and you could win a $50 gift card to the Pewter
I
Mug.
was talking to him last hour.
Listen to Miller and Moulton
and I asked him a question.
And
I turned it into a rhetorical question because Mark was reading the Baker Mayfield story while we were still on the air, and had completely shut me out. Was done.
What was the LA team? There's a couple of TV shows. I'm trying to think. First and 10, weren't they in LA?
But guys, before you
remember the old OJ show? It was a great. Come on,
go to
the HBO show First and 10.
We have an express treatment program that will get you over $400.
Can't remember the name.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do know. I do know.
And an in-office doctor consultation for only $45.
I'm a patient at C4MH, and it's safe, convenient, and affordable. Best part is now I've got
the California Bulls
with that New Year's resolution.
Exactly.
That was a team.
Super energized. Your $45 gets you.
That was a team.
About the
it's on Amazon Prime.
So guys,
oh,
give yourself a
fantastic!
gift of testosterone replacement therapy at C4MH.com. The
ran for 7 years,
and make your resolution this year a successful one.
Live Greyhound Racing is back for the final season of racing at the Naples-Fort Myers Greyhound Track. Doors open daily at 9:45 a.m. with poker action and simulcast wagering until 2 a.m. on weekdays and 3 a.m. on weekends. Enjoy lunch or dinner in their high-stakes restaurant, or check out the daily specials on the Grill by the Dover Grill.
Yeah.
And don't forget to take advantage of the $1 hot dogs and $1 shorts on first and third Friday of every month.
And 80s theme songs are. Listen to this.
You will ever go the distance. There are boys in the trenches.
I mean, listen to this music.
From the ashes, servants bow to the masses. Out on the field, they drum the boundaries.
T.D. Parker. O.J. Simpson as T.D. Parker.
You will survive inside the wide.
Dive in there and help them find a solution to the problem. So this woman walks in. She's literally got tears coming out of her eyes. I'm going to Turkey. I'm going to be walking and walking and walking. I've wanted to go there my entire life. I can't walk. And I don't know what to do.
84 to 91.
And I helped her.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people live the life they love without letting their feet get in the way.
She called me and told me what a wonderful time she had on her trip, was virtually pain-free, that I had literally saved her life. I'm gonna cry. You just can't replace that.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized
were they the Wash
at the Good Feet store.
Call
See, I can't even give you the name. They were in Washington.
Naples or our newest store in Fort Myers.
Have you or someone you know been taken advantage of or preyed upon by storm chasers who are out of the area contractors? Well, you're not alone. Hi, this is PJ, owner of Estate Roofing. With over 20 years of experience, I'm committed to quality products with outstanding service. I personally visit all the job sites, making sure every customer.
First off, the Michigan Panthers are not on that list, sir.
Shingles,
USFL champion, Michigan Panthers with Anthony Carter.
Preferred contractor with an impeccable track record.
It's why my high school is named the Newville Catholic Central Panthers. The 3 Catholic schools merged
in
insurance claims 84, and that's when they won. And the choices were Warriors, Panthers. I don't remember the other 2. And they took away the St. Peter and Paul Crusaders. That's a great name.
Call me at 692.
And the St. Stephen's Titans. The Titans and the Crusaders were the big Catholic school rivals.
Or visit us online at estateroofing.com. That's ESTATE roofing.com. Estate Roofing. Roofing redefined.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
We encourage you to sign up to the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channel so that you can get the behind-the-scenes access. And I will say, sometimes we're just sitting around. Mark's drinking his coffee. I'm drinking my water. It's kind of boring. And then there are some times, in like last commercial break, in which Mark's looking up, was it HBO's First and 10?
Yes. In the
mid-'80s?
Well, we were going through bad team names and you're trying to figure out that the Wildcats of this XFL, and then I started thinking of the TV shows, and I'm looking up fake football teams.
Right.
And the First and 10 team was the California Bulls. And I didn't know, I knew they were LA-based, but I couldn't remember the team name, and I found the theme song to First and 10.
Just hideous.
And I think if you spent an hour on YouTube listening to 80s theme shows, you would wonder how the hell we ever got out of that decade. I mean, for those of you that think it was so much better back then, go listen to some of the music. It's awful.
It's horrendous, actually. I mean, it's that techno sound.
Techno sound with bad vocals.
Right. Yeah, it was awful. But you... remembering fondly First and 10 on HBO. OJ was the owner of that team, right?
No, I believe he was the GM.
GM?
He was the GM. The owner was the divorcee woman.
Oh, Delta Burke.
Yeah, she got the team in the divorce. And then OJ was the GM, and then they had the
well, not Burke. Delta...
whatever.
She was... Oh, boy. Now that's going to bother me the rest of the day.
Well, it's not going to have to, because... I should be at Delta Burke.
Oh, it's Delta Burke?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Boy, glad I got that right. 249-8167. 249-8167 is the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line.
And I have to address something here. I am texting this person. Someone gave me a wow, Chet Lemon, my favorite White Sox player growing up. Good thing he played for the Tigers. He would never made the radio today. First off, he made it today because I was rushed. Secondly, he would have made it regardless because I had Chet Lemon Chicago White Sox baseball cards. I was jacked when the Tigers got Chet Lemon because he was a stud with the White Sox before that and might have been the integral part of that 84 team getting him. That they were, David, as you said to your late father-in-law and your current mother-in-law, like the Methodists, David, the Tigers were really strong up the middle then. Lance Parrish, Lou Trammell, and Chet Lemon in center field.
What do you think of the Methodists? I think they played good defense and they're strong up the middle. I'm either never going to be invited back or I'm in.
And you were in.
Right. I don't have time. Let's move this relationship along. Which way are we going? You think you
Moulton was speed dating 30 years before anybody had ever heard of it.
So if you're debating whether or not you want me in the family, just sit me down for a meal. All right? Ask me a few questions. You'll come to a decision quickly.
Got your caller.
Quickly. I think it's probably worked the same way with Seth Everett. All right? Seth, during your courtship of your wife, did you ever have like that the family dinner with her side, which was the make or break family dinner?
I had to have a lunch with her grandfather.
Ooh, that's
like a
pressure.
Job interview, and it was at one of the fanciest places in New York City. He sat in the back of the room. I swear to you, I felt like I was meeting Don Corleone.
Obviously, it went well because you're married, but the better question is, how scared, nervous, How was your demeanor going into this?
Quite nervous.
I mean, were you basically like Norm from Cheers when he had the date? And he said, "Take the coat off." He goes, "No, I might pit out if I take it." I'm guessing you were perspiring through your jacket by the time you got there.
I had to wear a suit. I wore a tie. He was very nice. I just didn't know that he was very nice. And I heard this whole thing, and he personally invited me. He was a captain of industry, and he died before we got married. But he was amazing, and he had practically raised her. So I had met the mother of my bride, but I had never, and the father wasn't in the picture at the time, and I had to meet the grandfather. And I had met him, and I thought we had done that, and he was very nice. And then I got a call, not an email, not a text. It was a call, and I was requested to go to Le Cirque. Do you guys know that in New York?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they do not have hamburgers. I'll say that.
It's always nice when your presence is requested. Okay, whatever kind of a meeting it is.
By the way, if I ever request to come on the show, it's not to do a segment. It's to tell a story and go. Okay. So, and the segment that you bumped me for, I couldn't tell the Cardi B story because you want to do this date in history. There's no way the Cardi B story is not better than that.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. Go, and then maybe tomorrow for the poll question, it will be what story was better. Right. Mondays today was the day, or Seth Everett's Cardi B story. The floor is yours, Mr. Everett.
So you referenced on the conversation that we were having that you had watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction performance with Tom Petty and George Harrison's son and Prince.
Right.
Right? That was what we were talking about.
Yes.
And I said, I know a great Tom Petty story. And so 2 years ago, at the Video Music Awards in New York, Cardi B was being honored. You know, she was winning, nominated or something. And a florist, a very, very upscale florist, had delivered flowers to her room. And this particular florist takes proverbs, sayings, quotes, and they put them on little cards in the bouquet. So you'll see something, and it'll be something from Confucius, and it'll be a famous quote from John F. Kennedy. It'll be a Neil Armstrong quote, like just some kind of famous quote. And the pattern is this is a tradition for this very upscale florist. And Cardi B comes to her room. There's a bouquet of flowers and a little card, and it is a quote from a Tom Petty song. And Cardi B went on Instagram and shouted, "Oh, Tom Petty, thank you so much for the flowers." He had been dead for 2 years.
You win. You win.
Every time I hear Cardi B, like if I hear something, if she's in the news or there's something on social media about her, all I think of is, "Oh, Tom Petty, thank you so much for the flowers."
Well done.
Well done, Seth. All right, Seth. Would you be open to hosting the television game show that is known as Let's Pick Your Baseball Playoff Opponent?
It's the dumbest thing I've heard.
Thank you.
And it's so funny because I have been so critical of the sport. And if you wanted to, somebody on Twitter did this. They said they came up with my 7 rants against baseball that I've had in the last 6 months. And the one thing that I never rant. As a matter of fact, I applaud every year. It's the playoffs. It's the one thing in baseball I have no complaints with. As a matter of fact, I have said there is a cassette of me somewhere from 1997 when I got one of my first hosting gigs. I said that once you had the first wild card, you needed a second because you needed to restore the desire to win the division. Because the wild card, as it was, there was no incentive to either win an extra home game wasn't enough.
Right.
I said that in 1997. So I have been a proponent for this current playoff system for years. And when I saw the story, and I give tons of credit to Joel Sherman, what I have said about Joel Sherman is he is one of the best investigative baseball reporters in the sport, not the friendliest, but one of the best. and he did a great job. There is no way this was leaked. You know, in other words, the league didn't do this to try to garner interest in the new television contract or the new collective bargaining agreement. This is Manfred just being Manfred. Trevor Bauer, I want him to be my best friend.
For those that don't know,
we got to talk. Yeah,
the current Reds pitcher is very outspoken, and MLB Network Radio gives him an hour every week. They give him a 5 o'clock hour every week for Trevor to just be Trevor and voice his opinions on anything that's gone down in baseball in the last week.
And boy, does he.
And yes, he does, and it is not always favorable to Major League Baseball, and I'm shocked that they do it. But
I'm shocked that they let him.
Yes.
Because when I was at the league office, we had players do something like that. Barry Zito did it, Torrey Hunter did it, and we would do stuff like that, and it never got controversial. Anytime there was a bit of controversy, they would have a mysterious day game, and they would not be able to come on. Like, you never crossed that line. The fact that he has crushed Rob Manfred as much as he has is fantastic. And what's made me laugh is how I have been talking about Manfred in this tone. You know, it's very emotional for me because this is a guy I hung out with. This is a guy I like, personally. He has been easily the worst commissioner in sports, and that's hard to do with a guy named Roger Goodell. And the fact
or Gary Bettman.
Well, I'm a pro Gary Bettman guy, so we'll debate. We can have our Bernie Biden debate anytime you want.
I'd rather stay awake for the rest of the day than have that debate. Sorry, go on.
Right. Why Gary Bettman's merits? No, this argument that the baseball wants to do something radical to generate excitement. I thought the statistic that showed it as absurd as it is that in 2016, 2 79-win teams would have made the playoffs. And that's absurd. You do not want to reward mediocrity. If you're saying this is anti-tanking, how about create other incentives to keep your teams to compete more like you're losing fans left and right. This is 7 straight years of declining attendance. The last 3 more dramatic than the first 4. And it's the thing that's not broken. And I said it's lipstick on a pig because what this sport needs to address is its on-field play. And if you've been listening to me over the years, you know we don't need to go into it's cut down on the strikeouts, increase balls hit and play, bring back the value of the starting pitcher, bring back stolen bases, do all those different things, not fix the playoffs with a reality show. And I was laughing when there were certain media outlets. Look, Bob Costas is a guy I respect, and supposedly he likes this plan. So, look, maybe he can spread the ganja around.
Well, would you be okay with 6, Seth? No. In the playoffs, 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4.
Or 1 and 2 get buys.
So have 3 division series at the same time in each league?
Well, I don't think because it's an odd
number.
I'm sorry.
You got to give buys then. But I mean, what if we went to 6?
And let's talk about the buy. The buy is absurd too because you ask any player, get Trevor Bauer on the line. Any player will tell you 1 day off is good, 2 days off is great. 3 they hate. They hate it. And this is the reason, remember when you've had the World Series where a team sweeps in the LCS and then the World Series doesn't start for 8 days. I've had that debate and what do you do to stay hot and all those different things. Teams don't want buys. That's not a reward for winning your division. A first-round bye is dumb. And the only way to fix it, the only thing about the second wild card is you cannot extend it unless you shorten the season, which you can't do. And I will always bring up my fantasy World Series. I want the Colorado Rockies and the Cleveland Indians to face off and a blizzard to wipe out both cities.
He's Seth Everett, and he joins us most every week at this time.
Unless you guys forget to call.
Right. It's on us whenever you're not here. It's our fault. It is never yours. That is for sure. The one thing that I took out of this week, though, is that Manfred wants to do something. And usually when the commissioner wants to do something, it happens. Now, it may not happen in the original form of the trial balloon, and I know that there's a players' association that is pretty strong.
And they're not going to go for this.
Well, okay. Are you sure?
Players don't want to buy. Players don't want to buy.
But more players would make the playoffs, and players do want to make the playoffs. And if Manfred's going to sit down and go, here's the additional TV money that we're going to get, not from Fox, because we've already got that deal secure, but we've got a lot of other networks that now will want to buy into our playoffs because we have more playoffs to offer. And so for your inconvenience of a buy, here's how we're going to buy you off. I think ultimately the players take the cash. They usually do.
Yeah, they usually do.
We'll see. I mean, they're going to want other things, and what they want, they're going to want salary floors because the starting pitcher is being diminished, and that's going to be jobs, and this whole thing about openers, and they want declarations of who starters are. There's all kinds of things that the union wants.
There's no doubt they'll get a couple of things that right now the owners aren't willing to give them because, well, the owners want the cash too. And so, okay, fine, you want this, we'll give you this. But that's what I took out of it, Seth, that this is Rob Manfred's way of saying, I'm going to change our playoff structure one way or another, and I'm doing it for the money.
Change your game. Make your game better. Make your game better. Make your sport better. Make me believe.
Seth, come on. This is so much easier. I mean, it's so much easier to add playoff games than it is to change the entire way the sport's playing, and we're all in the business of doing what's easy. So baseball's not going to do what you want done. It's much easier to do this. It just is.
This 2020 season, will they have higher or lower attendance than 2019?
Lower.
Will the
lower because, but I do think, Seth, I do think part of that is what you brought up initially, and I don't think it has as much to do with on the field. I am 100% in agreement with you that the on the field problem is there, and I'm not trying to disparage that in any way, shape, or form. But I also think part of the attendance problem is also the Astros' fault because they tanked and it worked. And you have, the Royals, the Tigers, 5 other teams out there. The Pirates are about to go south.
Right, but this doesn't help that. That will still exist. Here's where
but that's why the attendance problem is going down, Seth, because you have franchises now that by June 1, there is no reason to go to a game. None.
The Milwaukee Brewers dropped their payroll by 20% this year. The Milwaukee Brewers, who have been in the playoffs and have been in the run, they dropped their playoff 20%. What they could tell you is if they had a playoff team, we'd be one of them. Are we rewarding that? I don't see it. I don't see. I think the Orioles will be bad no matter what. The playoff plan doesn't change the Tigers, the Orioles, and all those other crappy teams.
But Seth,
doesn't help the Marlins situation.
I agree with all of it. Here's the problem for your argument, though. Baseball, during the 7 consecutive years of attendance decline, has had their revenues go up every year. They're now an $11 billion industry. 2 more years of declining attendance, they'll be a $12 billion industry. I mean, so we know where the money is. The money's in television. That's where the money is. And that's why this is going to happen. Something is going to happen. Now, the game show's a joke.
But you don't have to convince me that. What I'm saying is I think it's dumb.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's asinine, and I think Manfred's an idiot. Well, no, let me take that back. He's a criminal. And the reality of it is that if this happens, it's even stupider. But that's not what you asked me. You didn't say, do I think it's going to happen?
True.
Is there a possibility of it happening? Sure there is. There's a possibility of a lot of things happening. This could happen. If you do this, then do my radical realignment, which is get rid of the American and National League, put a universal DH, do an Eastern and a Western conference, and have divisions based on region, not league.
Well, Seth,
so
I actually
you'd have
think
the American League. So you'd have your Eastern division would be the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies, maybe the Nationals and the Orioles or something like that. and do that throughout the country. Cut down on travel. Fix your sport.
Seth, I think everything that you just proposed is going to happen, with the exception of, I think they're still going to call it the American and the National League instead of the Eastern Western Conference. But I have no doubt by the end of the 2020s that we're going to have divisional realignment. It's going to be based on geography. We're going to have the universal DH. I think we're going to have all. In fact, there are a lot of NL GMs that think this may be the last year that pitchers hit. They think that we may have the DH by 2021. Certain GMs, and this may come back and cost them their jobs, certain GMs have made deals with, in the back of their mind, knowing, well, I'll be able to DH this guy in 2 years. So I think all of that's happening.
Well, listen, I'm happy to come on your show anytime you want. We can talk about this game. All I can say is my appreciation of this sport has gone less and less and less. And part of it is this is my 27th year doing it, and I don't look at this game and I don't see anything that resembles the romantic game that I fell in love with.
I don't laugh at that. Seth, I want to save that quote because we got to. On Twitch, we got one of the chatters who's, very active every show, says, but will there be...
How great was the Cardi B story, dude?
What's that?
Oh, sorry. I just was talking to him. I just want to say, how great was the Cardi B story?
It was terrific. I said it right after. I said, you won. You win. When you finish the story, I'll say it again and again. But he said, I want you to listen to this, and you don't even have to respond. He says, will there be TV money in 10... what will the TV money in 10 years? I hate to say it, but in 20 years, who's watching baseball locally anyhow? And I think when you listen to Seth say what he says, that, Seth just talked about in 20 years, he doesn't like the sport the way he did.
Well, that's the NBA. See, the NBA has an interesting dilemma because their ratings are down 23%. And there's been talk, and I don't know if you guys have talked about it on the show, because I'm a loyal listener, but I can't listen all the time, about moving back the three-point line. And how the union will fight that because there are guys who have made millions on being three-point specialists that won't be able to hit that. And there's an argument there. And I understand both sides of the whole argument. The problem is that's not what Adam Silver says, is that's not the problem with the NBA. Yes, you can argue you want to make it a better game, but the ratings are going to decline no matter what because millennials are not buying streaming services. What I mean by streaming services, they're buying Netflix or they're stealing their parents' password for Netflix and Disney Plus and such. What they're not buying is Hulu Live, Sling TV, and those services. And the reason why that's notable is because the highlight packages are so good that if you are a basketball fan, you can find the highlights to any game on an Apple TV or an iPad or whatever the equivalent is, and you can see everything, so that when Kawhi Leonard went back to Toronto, a lot of people saw it, not a lot of people saw it live. And that's where the ratings change. And baseball is going to get hit more than basketball because baseball's slower and longer.
All right.
And their app is better.
And we can go into a little more detail at a later date because we are up against it. Very quickly, 30 seconds total. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, what do you have?
Sports with Friends, the great Nancy Lieberman, the Hall of Fame basketball player and coach. She talks about how she was almost on the helicopter with Kobe Bryant. We have that exclusive. And then Chad Finn from the Boston Globe talks about the media and how the desire to be first really led to some egregious errors in the Kobe Bryant tragedy. And then Hall of Justice, we review this movie, Birds of Prey, the Harley Quinn movie, which I couldn't stand, and my movie reviewer loved. So it's a battle royal.
Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, Seth's 2 podcasts. Follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. When you send us a message from now on, we will put you on immediately. Our apologies.
Thank you so much for the flowers.
Have a great one, Seth.
Seth Everett, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Love the meeting with the grandfather story to start things off.
Fantastic.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap as we put this hump day edition to bed. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is the Dan Patrick
You're
Show.
clear.
And I did
Thank
find
you.
it interesting how we were
Thank
viewing
you.
a 36-year-old
There
Aaron
are
Rodgers.
very
There's
few
nothing
football
36
championships in the
about
state of
it. What
Michigan.
I saw last
We
night,
remember
I never
them.
looked at him and attached an age, because there's a certain point when quarterbacks get
I don't
to
know what to
35
tell
or
you.
36 that their age is always
I can tell you what their
mentioned with name.
unis look
Tom
like. They
Brady,
weren't very good either.
42.
Bobby Hebert, Anthony Carter.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
This is Mark Miller for Tim Tracek Motors, and I'm with Wes Dobbins, a very
I
satisfied
want
Tim
to see the
Tracek Motors
Michigan
customer.
Panthers.
Thanks, Mark. Over the past 20 years, my family and I have purchased at least 17 vehicles from Tim Tracek Motors. Everything from Beamers to town cars to Cadillacs to cars for our kids to the Toyota Avalon and Highlander that we currently own. We've always been impressed by the thoughtful, straightforward way that Tim and Matt do business.
Jim
We
Staley
especially
was their head
appreciate
coach.
that they're so picky about the quality of
The
cars
Michigan
that they bring to
Panthers.
the market. They have always stood behind their cars, and that's why we'll continue to be loyal Tim Tracek
Burles
Motors
took the Michigan
customers.
State
Well,
job.
there you have it. Visit online at timmotors.com.
They had
That's
the
timmotors.com.
USFL had
Call or set up an
territorial
appointment
rights.
at 275
Michigan State, Eastern Central, and Northern. Why not Western?
7900. At Tim Tracek Motors, they are confident when you meet them, you'll agree that you've never been to a dealership like theirs before. Visit online at
Ali
timmotors.com.
Haji's Sheik
That's
from Michigan,
timmotors.com. Or
Panthers,
call
they
to set up an appointment
And to play
at
for the Giants.
275-7900. 275-7900.
This is an important message from Lee County Elections. If you're a registered voter and haven't already requested your vote-by-mail ballot, do it now. It's the most convenient way to vote, and we pay the return postage. To request your vote-by-mail ballot now, visit lee.vote. That's lee.vote or call 239-533-8683. That's 239-533-8683.
No matter
Drop-
where you're voting, with
They
Total
dropped their
US,
next four to the
you're
Tampa
covered
Bay
by the world's
Bandits, the
largest
Oakland
towing
Invaders,
fleet,
and the
with over
Washington
300
Federal.
ports nationwide.
OT.
Your local Towboat U.S.
And
companies
they
in
lost to the
Charlotte, Lee,
Gold.
and Collier
Ooh.
counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days
That's
a year.
fantastic.
Inland, the river to Lake
Management
Hope, and
addressed
out
the issues.
75
They had a
nautical
bad
miles.
offensive
And
line,
new
signed a
member specials
Steeler,
are
a
running
Steeler,
all
and a
year.
Giant.
Call 239-945-1664
Ray Pitty,
for
Tyrone
more
McGriff,
information.
and
Or
Tom,
visit TowboatUSCapeCoral.com. With
That's
Towboat
funny.
US, you're never stuck on the water.
Hey, Sean here again for Cathedral Roofing Innovations. Look, my fellow Naples homeowners, you should now be seeing homes with tile roofs getting replaced in your neighborhoods. Now, this is all a result from Hurricane Irma and the damage it caused to an estimated 75% of all tile roofs in Southwest Florida. And
There were
still,
50,000
only 15%
people
of you have
at
received
the inaugural
a new tile roof.
USFL
Your neighbors are now
championship
all increasing the
held
value
in
and the
Denver
curb appeal of
between
their homes
Philadelphia
with these
and
new tile
Detroit,
roofs.
or
So do
Michigan.
the same and call Cathedral
Right.
Roofing Innovations.
Yeah,
Cathedral
it is.
Roofing Innovations, the tile roof
60,000
experts right
at
here in
home for the
Southwest
divisional
Florida.
playoff
Remember,
game
just because
when
you
they had
don't have
never
any
drawn
leaks, well, that doesn't mean
28,
you don't have any
29 for their
damage.
home
And with
opener,
Cathedral
11-2,
Roofing
11-6,
Innovations, you can get a great
13-1,
roofing company to come
32-8
out, inspect your
because
roof for
Herschel was in
damage.
town.
Just go to cathedralroofingnaples.com.
24. Oh, they started winning.
Roofing-Naples.com.
26-31 for the season ender.
CC 1327875.
For most of the people that walk in our store, it's been an ongoing, nonstop issue. They're searching, they're grasping at straws because they've been trying other products and they've bought something that they thought was going to help solve their problem, and it didn't.
You're listening to Beth, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
A client came into my store
just
last
happened?
year that has had plantar fasciitis for 30 years. He literally walked in with a handful of products and said, "This is what I've been wearing." I looked at him, I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been here for 14. Where have you been?"
For over 20 years, we've been helping people live the life they love without letting their feet get in the way.
I'm just sad that he spent so many years with so much discomfort. I helped relieve a problem that's plagued him for 30 years. I mean, how do you not go home and talk about that?
See
I don't
what we
know.
can
How?
for you with a
How do
free
you do it?
Personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Call 552-FEET or visit us in Naples or our newest store in Fort Myers.
From the best headlines
The best.
to the worst,
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio.
You're live.
For the good, we go to Milton, Ontario, where 17-year-old teenage girl walking to wherever she was going, saw a package sitting on the ground, looked inside, found bank deposit envelopes, and thousands of dollars in cash. Of course, the girl did what we all would do, and she went right to the police station and turned in all the money.
Yep. I'd do it. You know that.
I know you would. I don't know. The only reason I'd turn it in is for fear of getting caught. I swear to you. I'm not trying to be a jerk. If there was a bag of money...
Would you take a little something off the top?
No, because if you're going to take something, take it all.
Well, not necessarily.
If you're going to steal everything. Don't steal $4 and give back $40. That makes zero sense.
You're not stealing. You're finding.
Always wanted to find a bag of money. Still do. For the bad, we go back to Canada, where Canadian pianist Angela Hewitt is one of the best classical pianists in the world. She was moving, and her $200,000 extremely rare piano was the only one in the world. It was at her home in Italy. She had used it for all of her recordings over 17 years. It was smashed when movers dropped it while taking it out of a recording studio.
Oh, boy.
Finally, the ugly, we go to the mean streets of Cape Coral, where 2 cars were parked overnight at the Dolphin Key Resort. And in the morning, the 2 cars, well, one had liar and cheat sprayed across the white Jeep's doors with all of the tires slashed. The white Nissan had its tires slashed and something painted on its doors, too. The victim said it was going to cost more than $5,000 to fix both cars. Not sure if they filed charges because I'm guessing the 2 had a pretty good idea who did it. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 12th. This is 2020.
Oh, boy.
What's on tap?
You get out of here and let me watch my program.
Only 10 more months of that, David.
I don't want those mosquitoes coming in here.
You gave me hump day for 10 years. You don't think I'm going to wear you out with this? You're nuts.
Oh, and he is just so happy doing it, too. So happy.
Same way you were with hump day.
I still am. Hump day? Yeah.
This is 2020.
College hoops tonight. FS1 double dip, 6:30, 8:30. Creighton and Seton Hall early. Marquette and Villanova late. ESPN's doing it, Mark. Kansas and West Virginia, 2 top 15 teams in the country. You can catch that game 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. USF on ESPNU tonight, hosting Houston at 9. Both the Magic and Heat are in action tonight, 7 and 9 respectively. The ESPN doubleheader, Milwaukee, Indiana early, Lakers and Denver late. Hockey tonight, NBCSN, Montreal, Boston early.
Ooh, that's dirty.
Calgary and LA Kings late, 7:30 and 10. And that is what's on tap.
I like Butler laying 5 tonight at home against Xavier. Miller and Moulton, have a great day.
You're clear.
Hi, this is Rich Castellano. I invite you to come check out the world-famous
All right,
cigar
you guys
bar.
have a good day. We'll be
You
here
too.
tomorrow.
Cigar Bar.
Thank you.
Southwest
Great
Florida's
job once
original
again.
cigar bar since
Thank you.
1996, with locations in historic downtown Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, and Cape Coral.
Yeah, Heckle, you're
Set
right.
the bar
My kid
for
watches
relaxing
all of his
lounge
Red
and
Wings
comfort, with
on
plenty of
YouTube
TVs
and
at
like
all 3
6-minute
locations
games, they
where
call
you
them, or
can
something
watch
like that. The
your
NHL
favorite
Network
sports in
has.
comfort.
Says it's
Step into the
fantastic.
humidor
It's not
and
just
let
the
one of our
goals, it's all the big plays.
experienced help you
That's
pick
how he
the
watches
perfect
highlights.
cigar
That's
from
how his whole
great
generation
selection.
watches
And the
them. There's
liquor,
no doubt.
Martinis, single malt
I gotta get
scotches,
smart enough
small
to
batch
find all this
bourbons,
shit.
high-end cognacs, and a great selection of craft
Need to-
beers.
you know, that's what I
Nothing
need.
can
I need
compare.
a